Hello everyone on YouTube and Twitch. How's it going? Hope your day's going well. It's another VHS Vault stream, so we're going to be looking at really old videos from the past, stuff that you maybe haven't seen, stuff that's forgotten or obscure, whatever. So, should be good. That's a little bright. There we go. A little less shiny. So, cool beans. Welcome everyone. Medicated person with a 5-stream streak. Cool. Boop, boop, boop. YouTube with a 3-stream streak. Nice. How's YouTube doing? Hopefully good. Give the stream a like on YouTube if you would. I'd appreciate it. And if not, a pox upon your houses. So let's go into it. This is interesting. I've been wanting to watch this for a while. Someone sent this. It's an old news thing about horror movies, VHS horror movies back in the day, and their corrupting influence on the youth. So I thought that'd be fun. How cold is it there? Let me take a look. Looks like 15, between 15 and 16 right now, which is warmer than it's been in the past week. We were in the negative for a bit.
On the ABC News Magazine, 2020 with Hugh Downs and Barbara Walters. Are your kids renting a movie this weekend? Horror films like these are the most popular choice. Graphic or...
Hold on, I gotta see. Can I identify the different horror films? That one I can't. That one I can't. This looks familiar. That's the dad from Bill and Ted. What was he in that had a wrap of barbed wire?
Like these are the most popular choice.
That one's Evil Dead 2.
Graphic or...
Don't recognize the big bat creature one either.
And they watch 15 murders in an hour and a half.
Children mesmerized.
I like the gore.
But are they harmless?
It's always a female victim, and is generally in a...
Oh, by the way, I got a P.O. Box thing today. I don't know if the person it's from wanted me to, like, say their name or anything. There was a letter with it, which was very nice, and I appreciate it. And the person who knows who they are, congratulations to you and all the changes and everything. And you've been watching a long time, so it's cool seeing that you still do. They got me a pink cowgirl hat with rhinestones and baby aliens all over it. So that's a new hat that we have. So thank you to the person who said that. MH Darkbeast says, praise Hannah. I'm feeling a bit down due to PT. So can I get your best fucking pronouns? Rant about something. Horror movies would be great. Okay, let's see. Overthought with the hats off. Do I need to ask? I don't think I probably need to ask. Oh. Wish I had this for Barbie. Well, that certainly is something, huh? Do you put the hair... Would I like pull my hair through this? So it's out front? Is it just covered? No? We're just... Whatever. Do your thing, hair. You do whatever you got going on. I trust you. Anyway. Cool. Oh, rant about something. Let's see. These fucking horror films come in here with characters who aren't straight white men. They made it political fucking pronouns. Barbie ruined my marriage. It's the best I got.
in a sexual context.
With reports that life may now be imitating art.
No, someone else's.
Bob Brown shows you what the kids are watching. VCR horrors. Also,
horror movies, mutilation, decapitation, torture. Does that sound entertaining? More.
Yeah, if it's a good movie, or even if it's a really bad movie. It depends.
More blood than a blood bank. Have we got your attention?
Who wrote that and it said, like, yeah, that's good enough to go on air. Say this, Barbara. More blood than a blood bank. That's a lot of blood.
Well, you may be sickened, but what about your kids? They seem to love every moment of today's horror films, movies that by comparison make Frankenstein seem cute and cuddly. If you find this
Barbara, you were born before segregation was not a thing. Like, when was this report? This was 80-something? What are you complaining about?
disturbing, just wait, because there is a whole other dimension.
There is, since VCRs. Half of American households now have video cassette recorders.
Goddamn VCRs. The VCRs are corrupting the youth. Betamax wouldn't have done this to us.
And for many children, they're a ticket to R-rated gore that the kids are too young to see at the movies.
Gasp! No child before the invention of a VHS player somehow found a way to sneak into a movie they were too young to see.
So, do you know what your children are watching? Well, parents and psychologists are very concerned. And tonight, Bob Brown will show us why. Fair
Hannah is a Betamax? True.
warning, though. There is some graphic violence in this, but we say that for you, not your kids. They've probably already seen it.
First, you were frightened by the Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Then
I have that one.
you were terrorized by Halloween.
I have that one. I'm just gonna show off. This is my show off. Chat, this is what I'm here for. I literally constructed an entire online career specifically so I could brag about my movies to a captive audience. Look at all my slasher films, chat. Aren't you impressed? Have you seen my new Coffin Joe box set? Do you even know who Coffin Joe is? You Philistines?
And now, prepare to be pulverized. Trump
Sorry, I'm in a good mood today. I'm in a very movie mood today. Later on, Baha and I and Broha and a boy he's bringing over. We're gonna do like a movie night. We got a popcorn maker for Christmas, so we're gonna do some popcorn and movies. So, movie mood today. Aaliyah says I need to put on my pearls. It's clutchin' time.
traumatized and hospitalized by Splatter You.
I like the gore.
Can't say I've seen Splatter You. Unfortunately, I'm a fake fan.
I love blood and guts and stuff.
Chat, for the record, Mr. Blast is joking. He is aware. I'm not outing anyone.
You know, it turns. I'm serious. It turns me on. You know, ever since I was a little kid. 'Cause I love the feeling of being scared. You know.
To be clear, back then, the term turned on was not as exclusively used to mean horniness. It was, in general, kind of in the 70s and 80s, more just like, I like that. It turns me on, man. Like, saying it in a shaggy way, not in a wants to shag way. Evil Dead. Not Evil Dead 2. Evil Dead. I respect the purity, but honestly, I'd rather watch Evil Dead 2. This is 87. I'm pretty sure Evil Dead 2 was out by then.
Saturday afternoon matinee.
I spoke too soon.
Aren't what they used to be. To begin with, kids don't have to go to the movie theater. They can bring the movie home from the rental store.
Gasp! Can you imagine watching movies from your own home? I think that might collapse civilization. Can we really have this responsibility?
And some of the most popular kinds of tapes to watch don't resemble the old Hopalong Cassidy or Superman movies.
That's about the boomeriest thing you could have said, huh?
The kids call them slasher or splatter movies. And they get together to watch them at gross-out parties. The movies are extremely violent, sexually provocative, and have graphic displays of mutilation. We asked 3 groups of kids why the movies appeal to them.
Peep Lord, thanks for 13 months, says, as we all know, VCRs have long since plagued the gay community. You know? They require a lot of maintenance.
See them with my friends, and we like see who can keep their eyes open the longest.
Slumber Party Massacre. That was a classic. This guy just goes around.
He's got the drill. That's actually an interesting one. Slumber Party Massacre. One of the few movies in a slasher where a drill is the primary murder weapon. You don't see that a lot. I think I have it downstairs. I have 1 and 2.
Killing people. I mean, that's the plot of all scary movies.
Bumble Homestead says, I was listening audio only and had to rely on your description of the pink hat. Brilliant. No notes. Thank you. I have a way with words.
Kids get the movies from the horror section of the video store.
Not a good way, but it is a way.
Most of the violent movies are rated R and aren't supposed to be seen unless you're 17 years
Dead Zone.
old.
Screamers. I have both of those. No, I actually don't have Dead Zone. Dead Zone came out recently. I don't have it. I'm waiting for it to go on sale someday.
Others
Don't
are
have
made
Night School.
directly on videotape
Beyond the Door 2. I think I have that one.
and bypass the rating system altogether. Video store owners say the movies are usually in their top 3 rental categories. Kids say it more simply.
On Monday morning, the biggest attraction is a kid that's seen one of these disgusting movies of the weekend. And, I mean, in incredible detail. And then this guy takes his
Yeah, sorry, I forgot I put those rhinestones there.
drill, all right? And he goes and rams it right through the guy's eye. And everybody go, and he's got a big cry around. And it's ridiculous, because, I mean...
Baron von Quipley says, I used to think I disliked horror, but after realizing how wide the genre is, it's actually splatter gore I don't like. Yeah, especially nowadays. Like, there's so much, you know? Like, there's something for anyone, you know? And it's not to say you need to look into it, but, like, if your conception of horror is mostly, like, stabby slasher movies, I like those. I like them a lot. But, like, there's so much more than that. Like... A24, it's almost a trope at this point, does the more thoughtful, like, slow horror movies where it's more like, what's going on? I love those too. A24 puts out great shit. They've put out a lot of Ari Aster stuff, and he's, like, my favorite horror director right now. So, there's a lot out there. Check it out if you're interested. There's always niche subgenres, even if you don't think you like the most popular stuff. Maybe there's something that you wouldn't think of as necessarily part of the genre initially. Bort Ward with 12 months says Kid Roger Ebert is a super nerd. 60% to level 1 on a hype train. Oh, that's a anniversary too. Happy first anniversary, Bort Ward. A whole year of helping support the stream. That's nice. I've been doing this a while. I appreciate all of you. Like, lurkers too. I feel like you don't get shouted out enough because, you know, when people are talking to me, I'm more likely to talk to them. People who've never said a word in chat, but still hang out. It's nice to see you. Good for you. Insert your name here. Nice to not see you. Ashley One Up says, mostly for the train, but also want to brag I'm watching Genesis of the Daleks right now, but you're on in the background. Well, that's nice. That's nice. Genesis of the Daleks is great.
like the focal point of action for that day.
While the movies may be the rage with kids, it's a different story when their parents learn about what they believed were simply horror movies.
They are, that's what they are, but, like, they are R-rated. Like, this is on no one but the parents. If you don't want your kids watching Friday the 13th, make sure they're not watching it, especially back then. Now it's like there's more things, like you gotta be like, oh, does my kid have access to like a tablet or a phone somewhere? How many streaming services do they have access to? Is a friend gonna give them a, you know, login and they're gonna go watch movies I don't want them to watch? Are they gonna pirate it somewhere? I'm not like huge on that kind of thing. If I had a kid and they were old enough, you know, I'd have to actually know the kid to kind of gauge when I think they're mature enough. A movie's a movie. As long as they can easily distinguish reality from fiction, I think it's fine, as long as the material isn't, like, so violent and over the top or with, like, overly sexual themes. But that's your job as a parent, is to monitor these things. Like, it's not movie video store's fault, you know? Just a thought. Parent your kids. Nemesaur, thanks for gifting 10 Tier 1 subs. You've been gifting so many subs. You always do, but it feels like lately especially, so thank you. Much appreciated. Might have gotten a package. Okay, I'll go check in a little bit. The dinosaur costume, I think, has come in, so that's good. That means tomorrow will be a dinosaur costume day. So that's cool. Your parents just didn't care what you watched? Yeah, mine either. I was pretty lucky in that regard. When I was like a younger kid and they were paying more attention, there were certain things they didn't want me to watch. But it was more just stuff they found like annoying. Like Ren and Stimpy. Like stuff like that. Like there were a few other things, but as I got older, they stopped giving a shit and I just got whatever at the video store, which was nice. Aaliyah Explores, thanks for gifting a sub. You watched Halloween at 5. See, at 5, I don't think, and this is the ADHD, at least I have meds now, I couldn't have watched Halloween at 5. I wouldn't have been interested in even a little bit. So much of it, you know, by today's standards, or even 20 years ago, 30 years ago standards. Slow. Great movie. It's one of the things I love about it. Just imagining, I'm not trying to be a boomer here either. Like, this is not about this. I would say this about a lot of, like, people my age, too, who maybe aren't big movie people. People's attention spans, myself included, is so fucked by the internet. Like, I'm trying to imagine trying to show a kid, who maybe isn't the hugest into movies, but likes them enough, Halloween. They're gonna think it's the most boring fucking thing unless they're already into, like, movies and stuff. Because it's so much slow build-up. And this is always how it works. Like, you know, when I was a kid, I didn't find 30s horror movies scary either. There's like a ratcheting up of intensity, and film has changed a lot over the decades. But it's just interesting how those tastes change. Nothing's objective, it's art, it's subjective. Different generations are gonna like different things. But it is interesting to see that change. Seeing the stuff get faster paced, more intense, even as run times get longer and longer, especially in like A24 films. I don't know. Interesting to see. Overthought, thanks for gifting a sub. I'm not sure if I mentioned that. 88% to level 3 with 2 minutes on the hype train.
Considered myself an informed, concerned parent and mother, as we all do, and I had no idea that it was at the depth of this absolute mutilation.
Mutilation. Oh my god, is that... No, I think they're showing them Cannibal Holocaust. Yeah, don't... Your kid... No, that's... Your kid shouldn't be watching Cannibal Holocaust. Most adults shouldn't be watching Cannibal Holocaust. It's quite honestly, it's a movie that exists for shock value, and it's kind of interesting that you can look at certain shots of it as sort of an early predecessor to found footage or whatever. There are things that are interesting if you're like a movie person and into the genre. But like most people never need to see this movie. This isn't like Evil Dead. Evil Dead 2, you could show like a 12-year-old if they're mature and able to do things. Maybe cover their eyes during certain scenes that get, you know, too much for a kid that age. But like, I think it's feasible. No one under 18 should be seeing Cannibal Holocaust, and I wouldn't recommend it to anyone. This is a bad example. I don't think most video stores carried Cannibal Holocaust in the 80s. I just don't believe it. I don't believe it. Bumble Homestead, thanks for 200 bits. 95% to level 3 with 30 seconds left. Very close. Someone saved the train. It's going off the tracks. Choo-choo. You get it. For a second, my brain went, get a train whistle. And then the other part of my brain went, everyone will hate that. So I'm not going to get a train whistle. Jesus Christ. Just thinking of ways to alienate my audience, you know. You know how it do.
What particularly shocks
Thanks for the hype train, everyone.
parents is the degree and repetition of gore and violence.
At least no one in the cast ate dog shit. Don't you dare speak about Divine like that to me, you shit. No, I get that. I get that. At least Pink Flamingos is an entertaining movie. I don't know if I'd say that about Cannibal Holocaust.
In the movie these parents are watching, Make Them Die Slowly, two women are tortured for hours and then forced to watch as their male companion suffers another indescribable torturing process.
They cut his penis off and put it in his mouth.
And is then beheaded. In this movie, Evil Dead 2, the male star is killed early in the film.
Wait, what? Repeat that?
Describable torturing process, and is then beheaded. In this movie, Evil Dead 2, the male star is killed early in the film.
No? Did you... What? Ash is the survivor? I'm confused. That's just outright incorrect.
But not only does he return...
Oh, no. They didn't watch the movie at all.
As a spirit and appear to be killed several more times.
He's not, though. What? You didn't even watch the movie. That's not how Deadites work.
One of the film's highlights occurs when he cuts off his own hand with a chainsaw.
True. Great scene. MH Darkby says the parents that think this is the future for their kids. Oh my god, from Mazes and Monsters. I think originally titled Dungeons and Dragons until they got sued. This is a movie that I actually have. It's like an after-school special, or like, no, was it a theatrical film? It might have been a theatrical film, I don't remember. About how these group of teens are playing D&D, and of course, as it is demonic and evil, Tom Hanks's character has psychosis and starts to believe he's his D&D character. It's so bad. And not like Power Glove so bad. Like, actually not fun to watch bad.
JJ, what am I doing here?
This is after they snap him out. This is they snap him out of thinking he's his character. This is his, like, Jesse Spano, I'm so excited. I'm so excited. I'm so scared, Zach. It's that moment. I feel like I'm doing the movie and TV version of talking like that character from Star Trek The Next Generation, Darmok and Jalad at Tanagra.
Why can't I remember?
If you know what I'm talking about, everything I'm saying makes sense. I need to watch that fucking movie again. Holy shit. Anyway, where were we? Evil Dead.
Please don't hurt me.
Thanks everyone for hanging out today, by the way. I'm in a great mood. You picked a good stream. You picked a good stream. I'm in a mood today. I got my fucking baby alien hat.
The female star also appears to be killed several times.
Like, do they not understand? Like, when the Deadite... It seems like they think that when the Deadite is possessing any of the characters, that they are dead. Like, yes, the Deadites have a tendency to possess corpses and take on the forms of your dead friends to fuck with you, but they also will possess living people briefly, and their faces will look like demons. But they're not dead, they're just possessed momentarily. I'm so fucking cute, I know. That's why you married me. Lucky you. And me. But lucky you.
How did it get to this? What happened?
How did it get to what? You were describing one of the best, like, genuinely one of the best horror films of all time. Jesus Christ. It's directed by Sam Raimi. Like, he went on to do some of the most famous films of all time, even outside of the Evil Dead franchise. Spider-Man, Spider-Man 2, Spider-Man 3, Darkman. Shout out to Darkman. Dead by Dawn, Dead by Dawn, Dead by Dawn. You're incredibly lucky. Me too.
Happened to old-fashioned?
What happened to old-fashioned? Well, linear time happens. I am begging all of you. I am begging all of you to never become this. Because, like, I check myself on this. I won't become this. I refuse. Like, even earlier when I was talking about the difference in pacing of horror films that are popular. They tend to be more fast-paced. They're more action-y. There's a lot more jump scares. You know. And there are criticisms that you can make of that. Artistically, and why they exist in terms of the economics of the film business. You know, studios going, here's what makes a horror film work, and it's X number of jump scares or whatever. Either way, when I'm talking about difficulties maybe with younger people watching older horror like Halloween, or, God forbid, something even older like a Universal 30s horror movie or something like that. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, and I feel like it would be so easy to be like, these kids these days can't watch a thing like that. But it's always been like that. Even as a film person, I found it hard to get into, like, old horror movies when I was younger initially, but I was interested in the topic, so I did. There's nothing wrong with mediums changing. Never get in that place where you see younger people with different tastes or what's popular changing. Don't get, like, mad about it. It's okay to find it interesting and different, but don't get upset. Don't get scared and paranoid that it's evil or wrong. Not that you should blindly accept everything either. Just, you know. Consider it with curiosity, not hostility. Be open to new things. Continue to grow as a person. It'll make your life so much better. So many things are going to change in our lives, and already have. Be open to them, as long as they're not actively harming you and others. He's cool. Stone Corbell, thanks for 43 months. Appreciate it.
How did it get to this? What happened to old-fashioned horror? The sounds and mental images of Hitchcock and the other masters.
Oh, fuck off! Alfred Hitchcock made Psycho, a movie that is, like, listed. There's always contention and stuff like this, like, what's the origination of the slasher? There's no, like, official point, though Halloween is usually considered, like, the slasher that is definitely 100% the formation of the slasher genre. Prior to that, though, you have things like Psycho, Peeping Tom, Alice Sweet Alice, and one that's kind of in that gray area that I would say almost counts, but not quite, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 1. The rest of the Texas Chainsaw movies are definitely slashers, which is a little confusing, but I would say Texas Chainsaw is as proto-slasher as you can get right before Halloween. The tropes aren't quite in place yet, but they're almost at their final formation point. The point I'm trying to say is, anyone at the time trying to make the argument that how did this happen, this is so sudden, this is so different, has no idea and had no idea what they were talking about. Like, the seeds for the slasher genre had been all throughout the decades, and Hitchcock, who they're citing here, was one of the main progenitors of this, bringing things like Psycho, a story of a serial killer, to the screen very publicly. So it wasn't just a trashy midnight movie, but it was like the biggest movie in the country because Alfred Hitchcock's name was on it and people trusted him. So he brought sleaze to the mainstream. So it's so funny that they are citing him as some, like, golden age of, like, ideal horror where everything was clean. And I like Alfred Hitchcock. I have the 3 4K Alfred Hitchcock collections up there. But Alfred Hitchcock was a guy that liked some sleaze. He was tied a lot by the rules of his day, the Hays Code, as well as general proclivities of the time. But the guy was, you know, not averse to these things, so it's funny that they bring that up. I get it. He did a lot of, like, classy thrillers. He also liked sleaze. Okay? It's fine.
Chaz Balin is a critic, author, and publisher who specializes...
Psycho, the first movie to ever show a toilet, gasp. True. True. I always feel like I'm always waiting for the day I find out that's a pop cultural myth. Like, I always hear it, but it sounds like one of those things that one day someone's gonna be like, actually, someone found an obscure Austrian film from 1937 where they showed a toilet. I don't know. That's the popular truth, let's say. Psycho was the first motion picture theatrical feature to have a toilet. Hitchcock walked so John Waters could run. Fucking true. I want that embroidered on a pillow. Have I seen Frailty? It is one of the better twists I've seen in a psychological horror movie. I have not. I'll have to check it out. Alice Sweet Alice is literally why you thought you hated horror. Yeah, not something I would be like, hey, you want to get into horror? Here's Alice Sweet Alice. No. That's not an accessible movie. Gotta consider your audience. You gotta consider your audience, you know? If someone's not really into horror, but maybe they like comedies, maybe get them into a horror comedy that kind of fits things they're into, and then from there transition to things that are similar. Anyway.
In this genre, his books include such titles as The Gore Score and Horror Holocaust.
How are horror movies different now than they were when you were a kid? I think we got a real impatient kind of contemporary audience now.
Chaz Ballon. Let me look this guy up. Chaz Ballon. Like, is he anti this stuff? Or is he pro, you know, horror movie? American writer and film critic for several horror magazines, including Fangoria. Oh, he's probably cool then. Oh, sad. He died of cancer at 61, 2009. Fangoria, have they ever done books that are like collections of old Fangoria magazines? If not, at least just the covers, because the covers were cool. Because I never really got to read Fangoria. I knew of it, and like earlier in my life when I was looking at like stuff online in like the early 2000s, I think they had a website. But I was never anywhere where they actually had Fangoria magazine. But I was really always interested in it, and I'd love to get to take a look. They maybe have an archive somewhere. That might be fun to go through someday on a stream. Some old like magazine scans and stuff from times past.
Why? More raised on TV, that's more raised on MTV. The audience
These goddamn kids and their MTV
wants some noise. They want some thunder. They want the smoke machine.
I'm actually not like the other girls. I blame VH1 for all the children's ails.
They want some loud rock music, and they want 15 murders in an hour and a half.
15 murders is a lot. I don't even think Jason got around to 15 murders in most of his movies. Just a thought.
They don't want to hinge a movie around 2 murders or 3, like in a Psycho kind of film. They want to have a body count.
That may be true today, but certainly Alfred Hitchcock's films were scary, and they didn't use graphic violence.
Oh my god, I hate this. Graphic violence is relative. I understand, and I get this. I like movies. I don't think movies need to be super gory to be good, but I don't think it precludes them from being great either. It's fine. It just depends on the movie. They're pieces of art. They're stories. Different stories require different pieces to function. In some stories, graphic violence is a part of that machine. Sometimes it's not. That's great. Please calm down. I just hate it. I hate it, hate it, hate it. Because I don't even know where we go from here. Because we're at the point where we kind of like... And I feel like the A24... What do they call it? There's like a catch-all name for the A24 genre of like slow burn horror. Is that what it's called? Slow burn horror? I think it's a reaction almost to the early 2000s trend of like quote-unquote torture porn movies. Because from the invention of like cinema, if you're looking at the genre of horror films, you have, and I'm strictly speaking the United States, by the way. I'm not as familiar with like other countries' cinema, unfortunately. I'm trying to do better. I can only really speak from like American perspective though, so sorry about that. But the horror genre in the 30s, you had a lot of stuff based on like gothic horror stories. Your universal horror cycle, your Draculas, your Frankensteins, associated monsters, Wolfman, Mummy, the sequels to all of those, the Edgar Allan Poe adaptations, stuff like that. Lots of gothic and Victorian horror. From there, you kind of have an increase, especially through the 70s, of like more realistic or graphic depictions of violence. Especially in the 70s, you have more sexual violence in exploitative ways. You see this in a lot of like the Hammer movies. Sometimes there's like gratuitous R-word scenes. In fact, one of the Hammer horror, I want to say it's one of the Frankenstein movies, and those are good movies. I like the Hammer, Frankenstein, and Dracula movies, but there's a really unnecessary R-word scene where Dr. Frankenstein performs sexual violence on someone for no reason. Anyway, after that era, because sexual exploitation was big there, throughout the 80s and 90s, we started seeing more gore, right? Hammer horror used red, vivid blood. It was very campy in, there was blood, but it was unrealistic. It's what you think of with, like, cartoon blood. Very bright red. 80s, 90s was sort of a period where we were going for more realistic gore. You know, you have your Tom Savinis and stuff coming in and doing stuff like the Friday the 13th movies that push gore into the realm of realism. Dawn of the Dead, another good example. By the time of the early 2000s, we had gotten to the point where, at this point, social norms as well as censorship had gotten to the point where people could kind of do whatever they want. So we got the shock value movies of, like, the Saw franchise and the Hostel franchise. The Saw franchise, for what it's worth, the first movie and the second movie, I think, are pretty darn good. There's hit or miss stuff all throughout the franchise. Some are really good, some are really bad. But at least it started with a really solid film. I hate the Hostel movies. I hate the Hostel movies. I don't like them. Eli Roth is a dude bro in a way that makes me uncomfortable. No offense to him personally. I just don't like his whole vibe. This is a whole diatribe. I'm almost done, though. Anyway, it felt like the early 2000s graphic, violent stuff was because we had kind of reached the apex of, like, well, what do we do now? We can do whatever we want. Let's be graphic and disgusting, and you get all the Saw movies, which, again, I like. I like the effects. I find it interesting. But I feel like the A24 slow burn horror stuff has been a correction to that. We got to the point where people could relatively easily do pretty good gore effects, and it wasn't, like, so crazy that they were getting picketed over it or anything. People just became kind of numb to it. So you have this backlash now where slow burn horror is more about psychological stuff. A lot of it is allegory for trauma or other things. There's always allegory, or often allegory, in horror films, but currently trauma is quite a big theme. So moving forward, now that we're at a point where we're kind of over gratuitous violence for its own sake as the primary genre, there'll always be, like, splatter movies. The Terrifier films that are popular right now, for instance, are in that niche of, like, stupid, grungy, gross slasher movie that's there to just do gratuitous gore and stuff. That'll exist, but it's not going to be the biggest movie in the year, you know? It's not going to become a franchise like Saw or Paranormal Activity. It's a subgenre. I'm wondering over the next decade what's going to dominate the horror stuff. Because it feels like some people are already kind of like, okay, we've seen the Ari Aster thing. We get it. People didn't like Beau is Afraid very much. I love Beau is Afraid, but I get that it's a tough sell if you value your time and don't like abstract stories. I love it, but that's a very personal thing. So I don't know where we go next, but I'm interested. I don't even know what people are going to be pissed off about. Like weird right-wing people, I guess they just get mad about gay stuff these days. Horror's always been full of a lot of gay stuff, though, so I don't know. Anyway, what a diatribe. Jesus Christ. I'm very much in a talk about movies mood today. The dialogue in Hostel and Cabin Fever is stuff a teenager who discovered slurs would write. Oh yeah. Oh yeah, it's terrible. It's so bad. Like, I don't even know if he's, like, a bad guy. I don't know anything about him. He just talks like a frat bro. And again, some of those movies are older. Cabin Fever has so many, like, F-slurs, and there's a whole running gag involving, like, the N-word, and it's like, it just feels very frat bro early 2000s guy wrote it. I would hope he's better now, but I haven't really seen his movies in the past however many years. Didn't he do Thanksgiving, though? That came out recently. Was that any good? I have no idea. Maybe he's gotten better. But his persona and films that I've seen in the past I didn't like. So. You heard he's gotten better about the homophobic stuff? That's good. Because, like, I get it when people make mistakes. Like, some things were so part of the cultural norm back in the day. I understand if you find video or something of someone saying some dumb shit. What matters is them having the ability to say now, like, oh yeah, that was fucked up. I've learned my lesson with the rest of society, you know? That's it. Just own your shit. That's all. That's fine. At least that's how I feel about it.
even in the famous shower
As long as it's something that's, like, casual and not malicious. Ignorance can be forgiven when it is rectified and understood. It's different than malice, at least how I view it.
certain scene from Psycho. Two films seem to have provided the impetus for production.
James Mansfield said Thanksgiving was gone. Is that supposed to be good and it auto-corrected?
Productions to become more and more explicit. The first was Night of the Living Dead in 1968.
Oh, sorry, H-Beard. H-Beard said, I wonder what the critic thought about Saving Private Ryan. Yeah. But that's about good America. That's such an oversimplification, it made me sound like a douche. I'm saying that's maybe how he perceived it. That's not how I perceived that movie. Obviously, the horrors of war in general, and people getting thrown in...
Texas Chainsaw Massacre. Each was made for less than $200,000, and...
Did he mention Black Christmas?
They reportedly have grossed more than 50 million. Lot of Hollywood filmmakers, including several pornographers, moving in...
Several pornographers! The horror! Can you imagine pornographers making films people like?
Into the horror field.
They've taken that same formula and instead of those explicit sex shots, they substitute...
Fangoria has a cover archive? Sweet. I'll have to take a look at that. Thank you. I'll find some good ones and maybe we can watch or take a look at them on stream sometime.
Women being killed and murdered by men.
And stories of members of organized...
It's so funny. He was a writer for Fangoria, but, like, was upset about slasher movies.
Crime wanting in on the action have also surfaced. In fact, Texas Chainsaw Massacre was distributed by a company headed by Louis Pereno. Not only was Pereno the producer and distributor of the porn hit Deep Throat, he is also considered by police to be an operative of the Joseph Colombo Mafia family.
For those who don't know, Deep Throat was... Oh boy, this is a cinema history thing that's interesting. There was a time when it was actually considered illegal, like in the United States, to, like, produce and distribute pornography. Which is weird to think about, because, you know, supposedly United States is supposed to be all like, ooh, First Amendment, freedom of speech. No, for a long time, the creation and distribution of pornography between consenting adults was legit illegal. So when that finally went away, when it no longer became, like, illegal, a movie called Deep Throat came out. Pornography film by this gentleman. I don't know anything about him. He might be a sleazebag. It was porn in the 70s, so... you've seen Boogie Nights, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, it became a hit film because it was like a scandalous thing. It was like a cultural phenomenon. Like, ooh, porn is legal now. Ooh, like everyone go sees this taboo thing because it's legal, you know? Imagine, you know, the day pot becomes legal, a bunch of people go get some just because it's a thing that's legal now. It's novel, it's funny, you want to be a part of something. So, Deep Throat became a hit. It's maybe to this day one of the most profitable, like, pornos of all time in terms of, like, theatrical release. Because it's just a really weird time, you know? John Waters actually talked about this, how he was inspired by pornography becoming legal and the release of Deep Throat and its mainstream success, inspired him to create his movies, because he thought, like, oh, pornography is legal, well, how do we be weird then? How do we be outsiders? We'll be really out there. Which inspired, you know, if you know John Waters films, you know what he was talking about. Anyway, so the premise of Deep Throat is that I've never seen it. I just know about this from film history reasons. A woman discovers that she has a G-spot, or I don't remember if they say it's a G-spot or if they say it's an extra clitoris. They say something. Is at the back of her throat. So the whole gimmick of the film is, you know, it's like sexual, it's blowjobs, but also it's like sexual intercourse for her, I guess. So anyway, that became big, and then, fun fact, if you've ever heard the term Deep Throat before and you had no idea any of this porn stuff, it's probably from the Watergate scandal, because the informant that actually like whistle blew on the administration went by Deep Cover. They wanted to call themselves Deep Cover as a code name. But then the publishers decided it'd be funnier in the story to call them Deep Throat. So if you've ever heard the phrase Deep Throat, that might be why. Because it's what the newspaper ended up calling the confidential whistleblower for the Watergate scandal. Deep Throat. After the movie. So. Anyway. That's what this guy is.
Texas Chainsaw Massacre and its sequel, Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2, are still...
Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2 is basically a satire of the first film. Like, it's basically a comedy. It's not even basically. It's a horror comedy. Like, come on. Watch the movie. They're not even close. Like, look at the cover. Texas Chainsaw Massacre 2's cover is literally a parody of the Breakfast Club poster. Seems like it should be obvious.
The biggest hits in the video rental market. It is the explosion of that video rental market that...
You just thought of Deep Toot from Fairly Odd Parents? That's a reference. They called her Deep Toot because the joke is Deep Throat was the name of the informant for Watergate. So Fairly Odd Parents made a joke that's about 2 degrees of separation from one of the most popular porno films of all time. Thanks, Butch Hartman. Don't thank Butch Hartman, he sucks. H-Baird says, fun fact, it's illegal to send porn through the mail, and some Republicans are trying to use the same law to outlaw shipping abortion medicine because it outlaws mailing obscene literature and articles for immoral use. That is an incredibly fucking strange, but not shocking law. How strange. Obscene literature and articles for immoral use. There's no way that stands up to judicial review for a second if that was challenged. Like, that's so arbitrary and subjective. Like, I get it. Courts now are filled with a lot of really fucked up Trump people or Federalist Society people, but I don't think even they would be on board with that. That's a little too broad. What do I know, though?
Fuels the modern horror films.
Wait, are they doing a Fairly Odd Parents reboot again? Why?
But even with all the violence...
Yeah, what was this movie? I want to watch it.
Still only acting and special effects. So if kids like it, which they obviously do, what's wrong with making the violent films?
Often
why are they acting like it? Like, generally, the audience for these things were like teenagers or early 20s. I'm sure there were people in their 30s who were into them too, but like, when I think about the 80s and slasher movies, mostly teenagers. Guess that's just how I think about it, though. Gnome Pickle says, this porn is obviously obscene. Now let's enjoy this family film where the action hero kills more people than the entire population of my hometown. Yeah. A lot's been said about America's weird feelings towards violence and sex.
Slasher movies that the central plot is based on rapes and chases with women being pursued with buzzsaws and drills and being brutalized, raped, murdered.
See, that's actually interesting. There is that discussion, like, about slasher movies and anti-feminist themes, but the thing is, they also have incredibly pro-feminist themes a lot of the time, and those things clashing interests me. Because for better or worse, of course that these films are full of really sexist, weird, objectifying things. At the same time, they're some of the only films that consistently have women as the main characters who not only have agency, but are the survivors or victors at the end of the film. You know what I mean? Like, you could maybe name some action movies that star women. There are a decent number, but I can think of more horror movies that do as well. You know what I mean? Like, it is a genre full of strong female leads and side characters. Not always, but I'm just saying, by and large, I think it has a lot of women characters. I'd say there's probably more movies, and I know the Bechdel test is a one-dimensional thing to just talk about how bereft of sort of active female characters exist in a lot of films, but I think if you took like a Bechdel test to the horror genre, it would do better comparatively to a lot of its contemporaries. Yeah.
And parents don't realize that.
Dr. Dan Lintz is a psychology professor at UCLA and has co-authored a book on violence and behavior patterns.
The reason that we undertook these studies to begin with was because we feared that people were getting desensitized to the violence in these films, particularly violence against women.
And the results of his 4-year study show that people were affected by the movies, particularly in their attitudes toward women in real life.
When we put them in a situation where they had to make a judgment about a female victim in another context, let's say a rape victim or a victim of battering, we found that those people that were exposed to these teenage slasher films were less sensitive to that victim than were subjects who were exposed to other kinds of films or who were exposed to no films at all. This is it. Here we go.
I wonder if that's ever been replicated.
Linnea Quigley is currently one of the leading females in horror movies. She's posing here for the poster of her next film, Tantalizer.
Because I understand that there is a lot of gratuitous, like, sexual violence against women
buried alive
in certain movies.
Mud. I've been victimized. I've been beat up. I've been impaled on antlers. I've been eaten by monsters. I've had zombies attack me. Just about everything that could happen has.
And even a few of the kids we talk to are concerned about women usually being portrayed as the victims.
Why does it always have to be women being killed? Why couldn't it be men? So that's the whole point. I hate it because I always kept that in mind of like, why always women?
But by far, most of the kids told us that parents and psychologists are overreacting. That it's just in the movies.
A lot of times the women are the victims because I guess women are supposed to be, you know, so fragile and so scared and everything, but it doesn't bother me, you know.
To sort of isolate movies as, you know, a major desensitizer of kids is probably giving it more impact than it deserves.
Andy Pfeiffer heads Empire Productions, one of the largest makers of horror films and risque videos.
Empire
In terms
Pictures.
of our films, the violence is largely tongue-in-cheek.
I reject your reality and substitute it with my own. They put out that movie.
Walter Jostin is the owner of Paragon Films, a new company that has had commercial and critical success with 2 horror movies, including Witchboard.
Medicated Person, thanks for 25 months.
It's a changing world. I don't think we're showing anything in our films that are that is worse than anything they're going to see on the news.
God damn,
on
that is a fucking mullet. Fuck. Trying to figure out how much cocaine went into that decision. He was probably styling for the time, though. Like, people probably saw him and were like, fuck yeah, I'd hang out with that guy.
The street. The difference is, I think, that with the slasher film, what you have is this preponderance of violent images against women. In the news, the victims tend to be spread across many aspects of society within certain strata of society, males and females alike, black and white. In slasher films, it's always a female victim, and it's generally in a sexual context.
I don't know about that. Like there are definitely movies that fall into that category. Maniac, great example of that. There are horror movies that very much focus on that aspect of women being preyed upon, but usually that's part of the story that's being told. And certainly there are just exploitation films that don't mean to do anything but excessively use something shocking in order to get you to, you know, buy a ticket for the shock alone. But a lot of movies, that is explicitly part of the point, right? In society, there are fears that women have, and horror is a reflection of anxieties within society where women are vulnerable. They aren't believed as often as men. Their concerns aren't taken as seriously. They already, like, and I've experienced this, like, since transition, the difference between walking, like, alone at night in the dark, like, when you are male presenting versus female presenting, is a very different experience. Like, the way people treat you, the way people, just in general, society views you and treats you, those anxieties are sometimes reflected in horror films in female characters, women or girls, depending on the age of the character, who aren't listened to, who aren't taken seriously, who are viewed as perpetual victims or targets, who then subvert that and come out on top. Not always, but often. So I just want to speak about that. I'm not trying to belittle the fact that there are a ton of slasher movies that are outright, like, exploitative, objectifying, borderline, if not outright pornography. They exist, you know? Of course it does. But that's a broad brush to paint. There are tons of movies out there that are looking at these things, whether consciously or not, through the lens of how women are treated in society and using that as a narrative device, or commenting on it, like, on purpose. H-Beard says, today's SAT analogy, 80s hair, 70s fashion. And yes, men get killed all the time in horror movies. Like, all the fucking time. Like, look at even the first Friday the 13th movie. The most memorable kill in that movie is Kevin Bacon when he gets an arrow through the neck. Does his girlfriend also die in that scene? Are they in mid-flagrante? And they get stabbed? Or is that a different one, where they get stabbed and, like, kind of impaled into each other? I don't remember. Anyway, a lot of men die in horror movies.
You have a son, right, who is still fairly young.
Yes, he's 5.
At what point would you want him to start watching some of these films?
He has seen all of our films to date. We don't feel he's seen anything that is...
Gnome Pickle says a lot of this feels sort of like, oh, kids enjoy this, therefore it's destructive. The never-ending drive to claim the new art trend is always evil. If VR ends up taking off, like, broadly, certainly it's already in the background. Like, I like VR, but it's not mainstream at this point, if it ever will be. Oh yeah, people are gonna get weird about that. People are gonna get real weird about VR if it ever gets mainstream. Just watch. It's the next one. Oh my god, the children. Everyone's gonna be sharing clips from Black Mirror and like, oh my god, it's real. And on some level, there will be societal concerns like there always are with new technology and new media, but people are gonna blow it out of proportion. It's gonna be real annoying.
Jarring enough to scar him for life or anything, so to speak.
But the district attorney in Boston, Massachusetts, Newman Flanagan, thinks 5-year-olds are too young to see these films, and he has a reason.
Hot take. No one's advocating for 5-year-olds to consistently see this shit. They're not made for 5-year-olds. What are you talking about?
Last November, a 5-year-old boy, assisted by a 3-year-old friend, stabbed a 2-year-old girl 17 times with a knife.
That's tragic, but I promise it wasn't because of a movie. Terrible things happen, and it's fucked up, and it's really fucked up and sad. But don't try and scapegoat media, please.
Talk to their parents and the police officers after the incident.
How did a 5-year-old get access to a fucking knife?
And they told them that they were talking about the Friday the 13th and Freddy Krueger and the type of knife that was used. And here's a 5-year-old that when they brought out knives...
I straight up don't believe it. I just don't.
Knives, he said, that's the type knife. That's the knife that we used. And they...
Because of their ages, the boys could not be prosecuted. The 2-year-old girl is recovering.
I mean, good. Like, I don't think they need to be prosecuted. They're 5 and 3. They need psychological help. What?
In Tiny Beck...
It said it like it was a shame. Like, we're gonna put this 5-year-old in prison for having some sort of, like, complete misunderstanding of how things work.
Texas, the story had a different ending. Last May, at a graduation party for seniors from Beckville High, students were drinking beer and whiskey at a classmate's home. Some were watching a video called Faces of Death, which purports to show not fictional, but actual recordings of violent deaths.
I believe it's not. I think some of the sequels I've heard actually have, like, actual deaths, but I think the first film it doesn't.
Two of the...
Could be wrong. I haven't seen it.
Students disappeared from the party.
Largely fake.
They were David Metcalf and Teresa Ann Downing. Metcalf later returned. But the next day, Teresa Ann Downing's body was discovered near this cemetery, not far from where the party was held.
There was a horror film in the vicinity of this murder, therefore murder is caused by horror film? Genius.
Partially clothed, smothered, and beaten to death. Metcalf originally confessed to the murder and then recanted his confession. He has pleaded not guilty and is awaiting trial. Police believe drinking probably had more to do with the crime than the video.
More to do? That's some double speak.
But interestingly,
the implication that it has anything to do with it.
In his high school yearbook, Metcalf lists his favorite movie as Faces of Death. There are moves underway in several state legislatures to require that all videos display prominently a rating that describes their content. And many parents also want a better definition of R-rated.
We would like the Motion Picture Association to consider a further category of the R rating. We would call it RV, and that would classify a film as being rated R because of its sexually violent or its extremely violent content.
The bottom line is that even if new rating requirements are put into place, it's a voluntary system, and it isn't against the law for stores to continue to rent these violent videos to children. And it's also an issue
you might have to parent your kids,
which a mother and her child continue to disagree.
Even if the films have special effects, and we all know that they're not real, in a child's perception or in an adult's perception, we're still dealing with repeated violent acts and the association of sex and violence that may make us more callous to those acts committed in real life.
You can't just say, okay, you can't see it and you can. Because, you know, some people, they're 25 and, you know, they can't mentally handle these killings. And, you know, some people when they're 3 years old can see a rated R movie and know that it's not real and just have it be there and be entertaining and scary at the same time, but not be, you know, completely inappropriate.
What a bright child.
Children are very wise. I guess in some ways that increases a parent's responsibility.
I can see.
Children are not wise. Don't do that.
Why? Yeah.
Like, I get it. I get it when people are like, look, children aren't born with prejudice. Great. Cool. Sometimes kids saying smart things doesn't mean they're necessarily, like, wise. It's fine.
A couple of questions, Bob. Can children rent these cassettes, any cassettes from these rent?
No, not generally. They usually have policies against it because they don't want customers to get mad their kids got something that they don't want them to. Generally, you need to at least have, like, a parent there to say, like, hey, is it okay if your kid rents Friday the 13th Part 4? And you go, yeah, it's one of the best ones, obviously. No, if it was, like, Part 5. But I raised my kid better than that. Jesus Christ. H-Bird says if you want even more absurd hand ringing over a movie. Okay, we'll get to that in a sec.
Rental places.
Well, it's against the rules if it's rated R, but it's not against the law. So the answer is...
Yeah, that's a good thing. We're going to start charging people with crimes for renting horror movies to people. Jesus Christ. Parent your fucking kids.
Yes, and many of the video stores, in fact, are staffed by teenagers.
Collection of Sesame Street and Who Wants to Watch Roadhouse.
So it's very easy for children to walk in and rent a video.
The other thing is when you rent these, you know what you're renting maybe, but when it comes in the box, it's...
My kid says, do you guys have Crash?
Pretty plain.
Not the Emmy one. The other one I definitely shouldn't see.
It just has the title. And how can
Not Emmy, sorry, Oscar.
A parent, or anyone renting for that matter, know exactly what the content is?
If the motion picture has been in theatrical release, it'll have its rating right on the box. If it was never released in theaters, it won't have a rating at all. So in that case, I would say a parent should look at the title, and if it has no rating, they might want to find out more about it before they let a child.
Man, it's almost like boxes of videos have a description on the back that tells you what the movie is about. The car crash fetish movie? Yes. Yes. I love David Cronenberg. He's great. What was this one? Batman Returns, Impact on Children from 1992. Batman Returns is a great movie. Batman Returns is one of the best Batman movies. And to this day, if someone was like, this is a very specific wish, I guess, but if someone was like, okay, there are movies that you can bring back that never got to get made. What movies do you want? Like, I can pull in movies from an alternate universe. One of them is going to be the Nicolas Cage Superman movie. I genuinely think that would have been, even if it was bad, it would have been so interesting and would have helped cement the Superman character in pop culture in better terms. I think similar to the 80s Batman that reestablished the character in the 80s for a modern audience and gave them a modern conception outside of the 66 version, an 80s Superman movie or 90s Superman movie with Tim Burton at the helm, or at least producing, with Nicolas Cage like they had planned, I think could have established the character in the 90s and the pop culture in a way that maybe prevented the Snyderverse. Hate to be that person, just hate the Snyderverse. Don't like it, don't do that. Anyway, I would love to see the third Tim Burton Batman movie. I know he wanted to bring in, I think, Robin Williams as the Riddler, and that would have been really good. I would have loved to have seen his version, and I've grown to appreciate Batman and Robin and Batman Forever for what they are. Like, they're Schumacher movies. They're basically 90s updates of the 60s show. They're campy. They're silly. They're bad, but they're fun. So I can accept them for what they are. But I so badly wish Tim Burton would have gotten his third Batman movie. But McDonald's freaked the fuck out because parents were mad because they did a Happy Meal toy deal with Warner Brothers for Batman Returns. If you've seen Batman Returns, it's a really weird movie. It's got Danny DeVito as the Penguin being really gross and horny. It's got Catwoman in a very skin-tight leather outfit. It's just like it's a good, but just not the most kid-friendly Happy Meal movie, you know? It's one of the things that makes it one of the best ones. It's got style. It's got a tone. It's doing something. It's not just trying to sell toys to kids. So anyway, I guess this is about that and parents freaking out about it.
Hello, everyone. By now, you pretty much have had to have heard that the summer's big movie is Batman Returns. In its first couple of weeks, it has already grossed more than $100 million at the box office, and it is already creating controversy. Some parents contend that Batman Returns...
Why are you feeding the flames to this? Why? This is just clickbait, basically, for basic cable in the 80s. Get parents who are worried about shit they shouldn't be worried about.
Returns, which is rated PG-13, is actually being marketed for younger children, and the movie...
Ashley One Up says, between the Phantom and the Shadow, which 90s superhero movie was better? I think Phantom. I've never seen The Shadow, so I gotta go with the Phantom.
Is just too violent. Let's get an expert opinion on that from
The show is over-the-air TV. Oh my.
USA Today's Junior...
Yes, I've heard the Kevin Smith story about the producer on the Cage Superman movie.
Movie critic, 10-year-old Danny Slasky. Please welcome Danny.
They weirdly referenced that in the Flash movie that came out last year, too. They were showing a bunch of multiverses, and they showed, like, a creepy CGI, like, deep fake Nicolas Cage Superman fighting a giant spider. To my knowledge, they didn't get Nicolas Cage's permission to do that. Like, can you do that? Can you just be like, look, it's Nick Cage Superman? Like, are you allowed to do that without his permission?
So, Danny, what did you think of the movie?
It was very violent. It was a total attack against kids.
Oh my god. He was so scripted. He was so coached by his mom or dad. He's like trying to remember. It's an attack against kids. No child talks like this. No kid talks like this. This poor child is being used as a tool.
Whole movie. Everything that kids love was being used against them.
Like what?
Clowns. Even the Penguin had a ducky boat.
So and things that kids could have done.
Even the... Wait, what?
So, Danny, what did you think of the movie?
It was very violent. It was...
It's not even that violent of a movie compared to... Like, it's really not. I'm trying to think what gross happens. Danny DeVito, kind of like, his penguin character is constantly either drooling or like has blood, gross like blue-green blood, because he's kind of biting his own lip sometimes, which is like kind of gross, but it's not like super violent. We have Batman punching people, but he's Batman. It's like a superhero movie. Even 60s Batman punched people. Just because it says like biff, oof, off doesn't make it not punching. He straps a bomb to one guy and pushes him down a thing and he explodes. So Batman kills a guy in it, but you don't see it. It's like not even cartoon violence, it's implied violence. I don't get it. He kills a person in that. That's actually one of the examples people give of Batman killing someone in the movies. Because the Tim Burton Batman, he doesn't go out of his way to kill people generally, but he doesn't seem to have like a no-kill rule. Like, he's fine killing people, from what I can see, at least in his movies.
Total attack against kids. The whole movie. Everything that kids love was being used against them.
Like what?
Clowns.
Imagine Batman using clowns to be scary. Can't imagine that.
Even the Penguin had a ducky boat.
Yes, the Penguin had duck boats. What of it? Do kids love duck boats? Black's Law dictionary definition. What do you want me to look up, Ashley? One up.
And
things that kids could identify
presents and mobiles. All that type of stuff for using to hurt kids and capture kids.
Children
Penguins
famously love mobiles for babies. Misstatement? Give it a shot. It doesn't appear to have it. Misstatement. Did I miss it? It's got to be in here, right? Yeah, it's not in here. Anything else? False testimony or the like? I can try and find.
Its total goal was
Its total goal
to hurt kids.
Yes, I think Tim Burton specifically thought to himself, I'm going to hurt children with my new Batman movie. Let's see. False testimony.
You think it was scary then?
Definitely for kids.
Yeah, for you?
You're a kid. How could you even determine that? You seem fine. You're parroting the script so fine. What's the problem? False statement. Statement knowingly false or made recklessly without honest belief in its truth and with purpose to mislead or deceive. An incorrect statement made or acquiesced in knowledge of incorrectness or with reckless indifference to facts and with no reasonable ground to believe it correct. Such are more than erroneous or untrue and important intention to deceive. Or import an intention to deceive. Well, there you go.
I was actually a little bit scared, and I have never been scared of...
I was a little bit scared at this Batman movie, so people need to pay.
a movie like this before.
Yeah.
I came out of Terminator 2, fine.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, your parent let you see Terminator 2, but they're complaining about Batman? Your parent sucks. Like, that's bullshit. I don't believe you. No one is afraid of Batman Returns, but not afraid of the T-1000. I don't believe you.
What do you think about the possibility of younger kids seeing this movie? You're 10 and it frightened you.
It's just not for younger kids. Penguin always had goop coming out of his mouth.
Not goop. Kids hate goop. Can you imagine how embarrassing it would be if there was an entire children's network whose whole theming consistency over the last 30 or 40 years has been goop and slime.
Catwoman took her claws and played tic-tac-toe on a man's face.
Catwoman doing cat things and being a femme fatale. Oh my god! Eartha Kitt would never.
It was just so violent for kids, and with all the McDonald's toys, it's making it sound like it is for kids, and it's not.
Yeah, actually, Danny, you bring
I don't want to talk about Dave. I'm not talking about Dave.
up an appropriate point there, because let me. I have had this lady hold these for me. Thank you, because I wanted to show you that all the hysteria surrounding Batman has caused McDonald's to do a Happy Meal promotion, and you know who's buying Happy Meals? 13-year-olds and over.
Parents are buying them for children because they like Batman. Bummel Homestead says found some interview with this guy as an adult, and the only comments are about this. That is so funny. We'll take a look after that.
And these are the toys that are on the market now. Of course, the whole Batman series. So it is all...
Gasp! Toys from the Batman for children. What?
Geared toward younger kids. These toys are for 4 and up. Let's take a look now at the controversy that this has created. It's the most hyped movie of the...
It's so cartoonish. Did you hear the sound effects? They're like... Like these days, that would be... They're so cartoonish that if you were to use those sound effects today, it would be an over-the-top joke about using a really, like, cliche sound effect for punching. That's so funny.
Summer season. Batman Returns. It's got a lot of violence. And some sexual innuendos.
Sexual innuendos? In my Catwoman? I don't think so.
So it's rated PG-13, a warning to parents that some material in the movie is not appropriate for children under 13. But some parents say the marketing for the movie is directly targeting kids who are much younger.
So how come you want to go see the movie?
Because I think it's interesting.
What about you?
Why do you want to go see Batman, small child? Well, I think that the influence of marketing on children under the Reagan administration is really taking a toll on my psychological development. I also like how Batman goes...
I've seen a lot of commercials, and I think it's going to be a good movie.
Here you go. Catwoman.
Even before the movie came out, toy stores were stocking the shelves with Batman paraphernalia for kids 4 years old and up.
Once the movie broke, it really started flying off the shelves. As soon as we can put it on the shelves, the customers are taking it off.
Batman, there's something going on at McDonald's. Better check it out.
And a McDonald's promotion is clearly aimed at kids. Buy a Happy Meal, get a Bat toy, even if you're too young to actually see the movie. Some parents are exasperated.
Okay, don't buy your kid the Happy Meal. Like, what is with this trend? Parent your children. What are you doing?
I think it's not appropriate.
Why do these people think it's everyone else's responsibility to coddle their children? I get it. It's probably not fun telling your kids no. It probably sucks. But if you can't do that, don't have kids. Don't have kids then.
That they're doing this kind of...
And honestly, is it the worst thing in the world if they get a fucking Happy Meal with a Batman toy and they can't go see the movie? Who cares?
Italian for the kids. And when she drives by the movie, she says she wants to go see the movie. And when I tell her she can't see it, she bursts out into tears.
Joining us now are Barbara McLean and her 9-year-old daughter, Kara, about
Oh my god, this is gonna be...
a half an hour into the Batman Returns movie, they walked out.
This kid needed so much therapy. The smug, like, indignation that must have been imprinted on this poor child. Ugh. This child now has a BitChute channel about how much they hate Fauci. Fun fact. Gnome Pickle says, you mean I have to talk to my children? I thought I just put them in the pot and watered them once in a while. You know? They really should warn you.
And Brad Curl, who belongs to an organization that promotes family entertainment, Batman Returns did not...
Family entertainment. I feel like that's a dog whistle for
get their seal of approval. Please welcome them.
Let me see, what's the name of it?
Man Returns. And Brad Curl, who belongs to an organization that promotes family entertainment.
What organization? Say the name of the organization.
Batman Returns did not get their seal of approval.
Is it like Focus on the Family? I don't know if they existed in 92, actually.
Approval. Please welcome them. Barbara, obviously you had seen the commercials about Batman Returns and the ads. Did you have any idea what it was going to be like based on that?
I think that a lot of the reason that we went to see Batman Returns was based on a lot of the marketing issues. I'm usually quite vigilant about the movies that my children see. I do not let them see PG-13 movies if I haven't seen them first.
Isn't this movie PG-13? Batman Returns is PG-13, right? Batman Returns rating. Let me see. It's PG-13? Okay, well, she's a fucking liar then. What the fuck?
I have a 12-year-old son. He has been after me for months to see...
I'm honestly even kind of surprised it's PG-13. I think you could probably get away with PG as long as you put in the description thing like, you know, implied violence, comic book action, vague sensuality. I don't know what you'd call it.
Terminator 2, and he has not seen that. I'm usually very vigilant.
Is it a PG rating? I think you can get away with PG.
About that, but I do think that the marketing confused us a little, and a lot of the reason that we went to see it was based on what my memories of Batman were from when I was a child.
The TV series.
Actually, even probably before that, and that would be the whole series of comic books, which were very, very defined, good versus evil. It was not real violence, rather inferred violence. And it was just...
I don't think she remembers old school Batman very well.
And morality and a lot of other issues that I think are missing. Beginning of the film, there were some issues that I found were very confounding in terms of looking at what I believe to be very important, and that is just general human suffering. The parents have a child.
That's the point. He becomes a villain because he's mistreated. Because he's disposed of by his wealthy parents because of his physical difference. He's thrown away like trash. It's part of the plot of the movie. Maybe if you hadn't walked out, you would have learned something. Logard says, oh man, I remember this thing called Cap Reviews, Child Care Action Project, a Christian movie review website that's been around since the 90s. It was an early website that atheists would lampoon, like the Dove Foundation, basically, whatever they call themselves. H-Baird says she probably watched the moderately racist Batman serials from World War II. Oh, we've watched some of them. Moderately is generous. They got full-on World War II bad Japanese stereotypes. He's bad. Did they not pay attention to the first Batman film? Probably didn't see it, would be my guess. Atheist Brony says her research was once seeing an episode of the Adam West Batman 10 years ago.
Child who has a defect.
Did I see in an early draft the Penguin was the Christopher Walken character's brother? I could see that. That kind of makes sense, plot-wise. Why he gets targeted more specifically, and it's not just like, you are rich guy, I don't think you... I could see that.
Which was not something that we ever saw in the comics. They threw him off a bridge into a sewer. He's a baby. He grows up to be the Penguin. Catwoman is a woman who gets thrown out of a 20-story building because she speaks her mind to her boss.
Yeah, and then she gets revenge on the boss. You're not supposed to like him. That's the point. She gets revenge.
She's abused, and the issues of good and evil were very confusing and very confounding to the children because...
They're not really. Like, are you dumb? Do you not understand context and framing?
Here was this woman who had been abused, who then...
Dobson founded Focus on the Family in 77 post-Roe backlash. Makes sense.
comes back and could have been a good person and helping people, and she didn't do that. So I found that the lines were very gray between good and evil.
What's right and what's wrong.
That's how life works, lady. That's life. That's life.
Danny, did you see younger kids in the theater when you went to see it? How many times have you seen it?
I saw it twice to get a real good view of it. And the second time I saw it...
It's his job, no snickering. He had to see it twice, right?
The second time I saw it, when I saw the younger kids, I really wanted to tell them not...
Why did you see it multiple times? What?
...to see this. It's really scary.
Yeah.
It's a really scary movie.
Brad, what's your biggest complaint with
So
the movie?
scared. I watched it multiple times. It's almost like I'm having fun and my mom just is telling me what to say.
Well, my biggest complaint is that we have a classic illustration here of kind of the Hollywood and the corporate community being out of touch with the family and out of touch with
the family. Dog whistle.
Kids. I mean, McDonald's has apologized to us. They're embarrassed really now that they've thought it through. We need a...
These people ruined the Batman franchise as it was heading at this time. So sad.
Corporate America that's thinking through the impact they're having on our young people. Our kids need hope. They need real heroes. They need a bright future.
Jesus Christ.
Not these dark... And the film was full of little dirty, really raunchy little dirty jokes and lots of extreme violence. What has that got to do with inviting 6- and 8-year-old kids to the movies?
All right, we did invite...
He's a superhero. He's fighting bad guys. Like, I guarantee you watched Westerns as a child. Like, what do you think they're doing with the guns when they're, like, fighting people? Or, like, what do you think they're doing?
McDonald's and Warner Brothers and Kenner, which makes the toys on today, they all declined to appear. They did give us a couple of statements. Let's look at the McDonald's quickly. McDonald's says, I'm paraphrasing here, they wanted to give young people...
Okay, let's see that interview with him as an adult.
Yeah, so I am a professional product designer, and so...
Does he actually mention it in here at all, or is it literally just the comment that says this guy hates Batman Returns? Because that's pretty fun. Because there's no way it gets mentioned, right? Boo!
So, it's an amazing...
Let me search the transcript. Probably not, but worth a shot. Batman. No. Sad face.
Well, if you just got some new electronics gear for Christmas, well, it's time to eat your heart out because the big manufacturers are in Las Vegas right now unveiling the newest of the new 6 million of the coolest gadgets on the planet.
This is from 2005, which, by the way, is almost 20 years ago.
Among the most popular items, internet phones with TV screens.
Gasp! You're telling me that someday in the future I might be able to talk to people through the internet and they'll see me and my cool hat?
This one made by Motorola. There are no taxes or regulatory fees.
Okay. What?
Wireless laptops. This one, called the Sonoma, made by Intel, works with no cords at all. And first there was the camera phone, now it's the cam...
With no cords at all. Are we in the future?
Quarter phone. This one can store up to an hour of video. It can zoom in and shoot sideways. Of course, there's...
Holy shit! You can take a picture fucking sideways.
XM satellite radio, but the newest spin is portable XM radio, complete with an LCD screen. Experts say the key this year is not to scare away consumers with complicated gadgets.
Consumers want ease of use. They want products that do things for them.
Perhaps the most...
That was the best sound bite you could get. They want things that work and that do things for them. Does anyone else want to talk about something? No? Okay.
Eye-popping item, the largest flat-screen plasma TV in the world.
Don't get me wrong, 100 inches is still a huge TV, but the biggest TVs in the world now are, like, even this kind are way bigger. That's pretty funny to see. Cute.
Made by Samsung. It stretches 102
fucking hate Samsung.
2 inches wide.
Just a personal thing.
That's
their
all.
TVs. I like their phones. I like the Sony TVs.
Almost 11 feet.
It's a technology statement. It shows our capability in making the largest plasma screens available.
Now, the Consumer Electronics Show
goes right into the wall. Ashley One Up says, I can interest you in a quick video of what 1924 through 2024 would be like. Yes.
Predictions made in 1924.
I love retrofuturism stuff. If anyone ever has retrofuturism videos, please feel free to send them in the Discord in the VHS Vault Public Domainia channel, because I love it. Some of my favorite stuff, like, you have no idea. I love finding archival stuff like that, because, I don't know, I just find it so interesting seeing what the past thought the future would be like. It's revealing as to what they think is important, what they view as a direction to go versus how it actually went. It's interesting.
Kicked off in Vegas with a
Why Samsung TVs? They run like shit. They're full of bloated adware. They're just... I hate them. I hate them. It's just a pain in the ass. I prefer Sony. Just a preference.
Reminder, though, of technology's
In
limit.
fairness, I haven't TV shopped in years and years. It's been many years since I got a new TV. It's possible the companies have changed. Just last time I got a TV, like 6 or 7 years ago, whenever it was, that was my impression. Jen, with £2, says there was a Harrods 150-inch TV you could buy for £20,000. Woof! At that point, this is what I don't get. At the point you're spending, like, that much on a TV, you should just get a projector. Just get a room, like, if you're that wealthy anyway, you should find an area in your house where you can, like, get it dark, buy a nice projector, and get, like, a nice setup where you can just get a huge screen. It'll look better for cheaper.
Microsoft chief Bill Gates tried to give a digital photography demonstration, but his computer froze up.
It's nice to know what happens to him, too.
Exactly.
Stay first, as we said.
That's pretty funny. Hmm.
In 1924, about 2024. Beds will automatically fling children out in the morning. Men's legs will wither away due to a lack of exercise from the increased use of the automobile.
People remembered Leg Day, so they're fine.
Young women will dye their skin and hair, all colors of the rainbow.
Half a point?
Everyone will wear flying clothes. Concerts will be
like clothes that fly. Like, I can fly if I put the clothes on, or I, like, take them off and they float there. I can fly with my clothes. I don't know about that. I don't trust load-bearing pants. Just don't trust it.
Formed remotely, and it will not be necessary to travel great distances to see. Horses will no longer exist.
Horses will no longer exist. Did we seek vengeance at some point? Like, I get they're not our primary mode of transport. Did we have a vendetta? We had to, like... Okay. Interesting.
Diamond rings will be replaced with 100-pound bags of sugar, as diamond supplies will be exhausted.
We actually figured out how to make them, and also, like, maybe we don't, like, need them for wedding rings and stuff, so...
Automobiles will travel on speedways through the center of towns. Family albums will be videos instead of photographs. Canada will have a population of 100 million.
I don't know Canada's population.
Movies will bring about world peace.
No, what? I assume it's just like, we'll see each other. That idea that, like, if we just get to know each other better... That would be nice. A lot of people, unfortunately, are really paranoid and xenophobic, so...
Life expectancy will be 100 years old, and 75 will be considered young. Movies will be so realistic that it will be difficult to distinguish them from real life. Jazz...
Canada's at 38 million. Okay. It's less than I would have thought, honestly.
Music will be considered classical.
I mean, classical has a specific meaning.
Human family will be at the...
But I get it.
...point of starvation. New York City will have a population of 30 million people and will have no transit problems. Follow for more history content.
You missed the
Prediction.
propaganda aspect there. Yeah, well. Oh, this is funny. I'm gonna use the bathroom real quick, and then we'll continue with this. This, I think, is some sort of educational health video from, like, the 90s. Looked funny. So, be right back. I love you. I hope the fires are keeping you warm, chat. Alright. How's everyone doing? Hopefully good. Oh, Raptor Blue! Good time for a raid. I just got back from the bathroom. Welcome, raiders. I'm Hannah. I'm a variety streamer. I love movies and old, weird, forgotten media. So today we're doing a VHS Vault stream. I do this every once in a while. As you can see, I have quite a collection of all sorts of different movies and media. We're looking at kind of forgotten VHS stuff. Some educational videos, some trailers. We've watched some weird pearl-clutching stuff from the 80s and 90s about different movies that interest groups were upset about, like Batman Returns. So, hang out, have some fun. This is a hat a fan sent me. It's a cowgirl hat with a bunch of, baby aliens strapped to it, so that's good. Their psychic energy is collectively protecting me from, the government's, brain nullification ray, so. That's pretty cool. Why is the CGI man inside out? He asks why you're outside in. Have you considered? Think about it. Think about it. Think about it. Overthought, thanks for gifting a sub to Raptor Blue. And if you haven't, check out Raptor Blue here on Twitch. Or if you're on YouTube, go to Twitch and follow Raptor Blue. Or if Raptor Blue is a YouTube channel, follow that on YouTube. Subscribe, whatever. Words are different. Does anyone remember, in like the early 2000s or late 90s, Nickelodeon had weird interstitials with a claymation character called Inside Out Boy? Does anyone remember Inside Out Boy? That was weird. He like went over the bar on the swing and it turned him inside out. Just disgusting. Anyway.
Radical you. Radical. Radical you.
This is called Radical U? Like University U? I'm cool. I'm hip. I definitely don't give embarrassing ant vibes. I'm cool. I'm cool with the youth.
Hello,
I'm
your host Jeffrey Montavo. This is my host.
Oh, that sound mixing. Oh, that set. Oh, the colors. Oh God. Oh, the everything is bad. Do I get jiggy with it? I've been known to get down with my bad self from time to time, as the kids say. I didn't know hip things when I was a kid. I was unpopular. It's okay. I trained my awkwardness to be, maybe not endearing, but relatable.
John, wake up. Wake up, man. Dude, wake up.
I can't.
Why can't you?
I haven't eaten anything all day today.
Delivery.
Finally, I'm starving. Thank you.
You're really gonna eat that?
Of course, I paid for it.
Haven't you heard one word that I can say?
Every word and syllable, but I'm still starving.
Can I just show you one thing?
No.
Why not?
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm really confused. So they like chroma keyed the background, and I feel like they kind of wanted it to look like a room back there, because like on the right side you have like that monitor with the symbol for whatever this thing is that someone made on Microsoft Paint, it looks like. And then the other side you have like a shelf with a boxing glove. The colors are all blown out and weird, almost like they put like some kind of cell shade filter on it. But then like in the center, why is it like a GIF of tubes? I don't even understand the thought. I feel like ChatGPT made this. Like it's like, okay, I see an idea here, but like, what are we doing? What's the overall picture? Ugh.
Already sounds boring.
What if there's a picture?
Cartoon?
Claymation?
Cool.
Oh, it was foreshadowing. The tubes are here now, so it's the focus. Okay, I should have waited. I would understand the tubes better. The internet's a series of tubes. People make fun of that. He was trying to explain, like, a comparison. It was an analogy. It's not a truck. It's a series of tubes. Ew. I'm not a fan.
I hope it's something good this time.
Fries again? Ow, ow! Can't this guy learn how to chew?
I'm gonna go with author's poorly disguised fetish.
Fat. It's always fat. I'm still working on last batch of fat.
Oh no! How am I gonna nourish the body on all this fat?
You know, some water down here would help this mess.
Something's coming.
We need less fat in your diet. More corn syrup. H. Baird says, the makers of Beekman's World wouldn't be mad at these guys, just disappointed.
Oh, it's soda!
Again?
Help, it's all turning into sugar! Hello? Remember me? The heart? How do you expect me to pump blood when my arteries are getting all clogged?
Gotta talk to the brain.
You all know what happens when I stop pumping.
Wow. Did you see that? Did you see that?
Yeah.
You continue to eat that stuff and you're gonna end up one sick dude. I just heard there was 90,000 cancer deaths related to obesity in the U.S. alone last year. I mean, you continue to eat that stuff, you get diabetes, heart disease. Okay.
I understand that it's an educational video, but also, like, maybe he just wanted a burger that day. Moderation and all that. Like, he can have things every once in a while. Like, he's in good shape. It's fine. He can have a treat. He can have a greasy burger as a treat. Juggle. Can do. I'm also probably going to change this hat soon. Just because it's kind of pinching after a couple hours. And I want something that's not as pinchy.
Hey, enough. I've heard enough. I mean, what can I do? Sign me up. What can I eat instead?
There's plenty of good food, dear.
Hats off, Humble Homestead. What do you want
You
me
can
to
go to the snack bar page on our website.
Wow, dude, check this out. They have an awesome recipe for smoothies.
Check that out. So, moving on with our show. Where are you going?
We're going to the store.
Store?
So, moving on with the show, we have a really great guest here. I mean, he's an inspirational guy, a
Something
great
purple,
guy to so many,
easy.
including myself. Check this out. Wow, that was some workout. Now, really great guest here. Larry Cummings.
Oh, that feels so much better. Thank you.
So, how you doing, Sarge? So, basically, Sarge, what's the one message you really want to get out to the viewers out there?
Well, viewers, please listen and listen closely. Respect yourself, condition yourself, and treat yourself with the utmost love, and you will conquer.
They're here from the master himself, Larry Cummings, aka Sarge. So, Sarge, we basically have a tape of you working out with some of your kids. Roll the tape.
The way I work out here, they frequently ask me, like, what do I do? And I just tell them I just work out, and this is how I'm getting my success, to do the workout here at the physical training club with Sergeant Cummings. And it's doing me great, and they see that, and they get inspired by that. And
one day you're going to want to get in shape, and it's going to be too hard for you to get in shape, so it's better to start now. All these things you build with being athletic and sports and all these things, just having a healthy body leads to a healthy mind, because it's the same things you need to have a healthy body, the same things you need to have a healthy life.
If you want to feel a certain way when you walk outside,
I do like this hat.
if you want to be healthy, do it for you. Don't have nobody else, no one else tell you
Comfy,
what to do.
it's cute.
Just for yourself. It makes you feel like a better person.
Start now. Be active, have fun while doing it. Most important, enjoy what you do. Hey, where's John?
This editing is... It's like they saw Bill Nye and thought that the only thing about it was just making weird noises and kind of weird editing. That's a part of it, but no, yeah, gotta make it not super annoying, too. Can't be this annoying. Jesus, I gotta, that noise is just driving me nuts.
That's what I got at the grocery store. Hey, Sarge, what's up? I'm gonna do some cooking.
Yeah, I love cooking. You need any help?
Play basketball, and her response is why. Do you have anything to say about that?
As long as you have good flexibility, you stretch a lot and keep yourself versatile, then it doesn't matter how much weight on you. But it's always good to try to play at the least weight that you can.
Okay, I think that's all I could take of that. Ugh. Here's a good public access clip.
Well, Peter and Tweeter, we're doing a new show. And you're going to be able to see what is taught in the Bible that is very difficult to understand by people. And I'm very thankful to the living God for how He has blessed me with knowledge for the last 50 years and helped me speak it. I talked to the people on Church Street in Burlington, and I handed out some information about myself that I think we all should know, and I had Richard Hop's picture on the back of my little paper, and Cleon Douglas has helped me to make all these materials up. So I'm just going to read this little thing that I handed out on Church Street. Greetings and welcome to our first newsletter. We welcome you to a world where love is abounded, where love is kind and understanding, where love for all the children is the sole link to everything we do in our lives. Jesus said, suffer
public access was basically just like YouTube.
Little children to come unto
I wish we had it all archived.
me, and forbid them not, for such is the kingdom of heaven. This is a statement filled
Sir,
with
we're your
love
local
and
deputies.
compassion.
This is a wellness check.
So come join us in the lifelong goal of loving and taking
How dare
care.
you call public access a mistake? It's a gift.
The way to do that is with a rock group called KISS. Dixie Watley has this report on the band that's not getting older, it's getting weirder.
Blood, breathing fire, and promoting themselves as the loudest band in the world. With a new album to sell, KISS has been on the road again, but their 100-city tour has met with controversy reminiscent of the 60s.
Well, it might be the devil, or it might be the Lord, but you gotta have to serve somebody.
There were picket lines in Nashville, a record-breaking protest in Little Rock, a standing room-only city council meeting in Corpus Christi, and headlines all over the country: Minneapolis, Dubuque, Chattanooga, and Bismarck, North Dakota. The protesters are mainly religious groups who have been trying unsuccessfully to get KISS concerts stopped because, they say, KISS promotes the worship of Satan.
This is one of the ways that...
Even if, this is what I don't get. Even if they did, which they don't, but even if they did, so? That's not illegal. It wouldn't be illegal to go somewhere and be like, fuck yeah, worship Satan. Like, I don't think that's right either. I don't believe in Satan. But, like, it's not illegal. What are you doing?
The enemy is coming in to try to engulf the minds of these teenagers. And
every time I hear Beth, I think fucking Satan is in this music.
We make heroes out of these guys and make them look like there's something great when literally they're destroying this country.
They're destroying this country?
Their music and their lyrics is espousing Satan worship and drugs among our kids, and you're looking at a preacher in Pine Bluff, Arkansas that's against it, and we're going to stand against it, and not just me, but in Georgia, Alabama, Louisiana, California, the ministries.
Sir, the CIA is more of a danger in introducing drugs to your community than KISS. Please chill.
Waking up and realizing that we need to stand against this evil.
I don't think we'd like those people to like us. They're strange. I mean, they really are weird, you know, but we don't get involved in that. We're a rock and roll band, and we're certainly not going to make a career of explaining what we do to anybody.
What they do, according to many Christian leaders, is use their evil-looking makeup along with lyrics such as "I was raised by the demons" and "I'm king of the nighttime world" to influence their fans to idolize the underworld.
I think they're trying to fill their auditoriums and fill their pocketbooks, what I think. And I think they're putting our kids on the block to do it.
There are people who really believe in what these guys have to say. That's the scary part. And if we come and actually start playing the game, we're going to lend more importance to these guys than they actually deserve. They are really small-time bozos who are warped, who are going to try to do the same thing that's been done to Elvis, which is burn his records, and to the Beatles. We figure we're in very, very good company.
KISS knows they can use the controversy. Their concerts have only been selling at 50 to 75% capacity, and their latest album, Creatures of the Night, is the poorest selling album of their career. Poor sales and a disappointing turnout may well be the reason KISS called off the tour midway through and retreated to a studio to cut a new album. Meanwhile, the controversy is also meaty material for a Christian ministry whose mainline membership is dwindling. Both sides claim that they'd like to meet and smooth things out.
Well, if I met the members of KISS, I'd like to do that. I mean, I would, of course, I would tell them that the only hope they have in their life is Jesus Christ, and that they have to be born again.
The two main members I know of are Jewish, so that's pretty fucked up if you said that to them.
I'll go listen to their sermons. They seem a little afraid to come see us.
I think both Gene Simmons and Paul Stanley are Jewish, right? Is Paul Stanley Jewish? I actually don't know. Gene Simmons is, for sure.
You invited him?
Why?
You invite him?
Sure, come to the show. Have a good time.
The kids, for the most part, are ignoring all the commotion and have been going to the KISS concerts for the same reason they go to any concert, to hear very loud rock and roll.
They're not out here for any Satan worship. It's just rock and roll. That's all it is.
They don't have me worse than the devil, so I don't worry what they do.
Dixie Watley for Entertainment Tonight.
Started out
segment from Love Connection.
Started out by me giving her a phone call, and I guess I realized pretty quickly we weren't going to have anything in common.
Really?
I like women who are deep, and she just didn't seem like a deep kind of person. She seemed more like the kind of, woman who probably knows all the colors of lipstick but couldn't tell you who the Vice President of the United States was. Really?
What's your side of this phone conversation, Robin?
Well, I thought he had a monotone voice. He was whiny, and he sounded very boring, and that's how he turned out to be.
So what happened?
Okay, she's kind of half living in San Francisco, half living in San Diego right now, and I'm in San Diego, so you'll have to ask her about that. But she suggested I come up to San Francisco for the weekend. You know, at least the trip will be interesting.
So you arrive at the airport, and is she there to meet you?
She's there to pick me up.
And what was your first impression of her?
I guess I was a little disappointed. In her video, you know, she looked cute, but she looked a little bit older in person than her real age. She did.
Why is he such a dick? Also, you flew from San Diego. How far is San Diego from San Francisco? Are they like on very different parts of the state? Because I know California is like long. I genuinely don't know.
She did have a good body, though. I will give her credit for that.
1.5 hours, it's away.
Although I really do have to say, you know, it's a shame she doesn't work out a little less on her body and a little more on her mind.
You don't deserve to know my mind. You,
Well, Robin.
It just makes me want to watch Mallrats.
When I saw him, oh, I thought he was so fine, and he was just gorgeous, the man of my dreams. Not!
Wow, she got away with a not joke. Oof.
So here you are in the airport, and you're deciding to do what?
Well, she had already kind of planned out the whole date.
She had?
Yeah.
Oh, that was nice.
And step number one
were you appreciative of that, or were you still kind of thinking, oh, I wish I was out with this?
For your hotel, too.
What did you say?
I said, tell him who paid for your hotel.
Robin paid for the hotel. I will give her credit for that.
What do you mean, give her credit? She paid for your hotel?
Yeah.
Yes.
Excuse me, just a minute. Why?
Oh, I just thought I wanted him to stay next to, we went to a nightclub called Harry Denton's, which is one of the classiest nightclubs in San Francisco, and there's a hotel attached to it. I thought it would be a really nice experience, and
Gee,
so,
I mean, I can't believe that you weren't more than just giving her credit, that you weren't really impressed and appreciative of that.
No, I was appreciative, and I thought that was very nice.
you never said thank you.
What? I said
You
thank
never thanked me. No,
several
no,
times,
and when he
Robin.
called me from the hotel, he billed it to the
Is this how John Doyle's parents met?
room on my credit card.
I called from the phone in the room. I did not ask to bill it to the credit card.
But you used your credit card.
From the room?
Why didn't you? Yeah, your calling card. Don't you have
told
one?
me to call you from the room the next morning.
Did I say to bill it to me?
I didn't think about that. I just used the phone that was in the room. I'd be glad to pay you back for the phone call, since that seems very important to you.
So, well, let me ask you a question. So you left and went straight to the straight to the hotel and then to the club?
No, we actually went out to dinner. She had picked the restaurant. She seemed fascinated by the fact that this restaurant had light fixtures that looked like breasts.
That was why you wanted to go there.
No. You suggested the restaurant. You told me it had light fixtures that looked like breasts, and you seemed to think that was a good idea. But the bottom line is the light fixtures didn't look like breasts, so it really doesn't matter.
And you were...
It now just sounds like he's upset that he was offered a restaurant where the light fixtures look like breasts, and he got there and he was disappointed they didn't look enough like breasts. Like, I don't know. I don't know if that's a valid thing to get mad about, but it certainly is a thing that happened.
Disappointed.
Sorry, Chop.
So now, what happened after
Beautiful
dinner?
restaurant. Very good food.
Did you enjoy the food in the restaurant?
Oh, the food was good. You know, conversation went nowhere. We had nothing in common, but the food was good.
Thank
Again,
God I don't have anything in common with you.
I assume they actually don't like each other, because there are times on the show where the couples liked each other, but I think they're definitely playing it up because, you know, that's the show.
So what happened after dinner?
For some reason, she decided to take me to a wedding reception. I don't know. Maybe she felt like since we weren't going to go. You asked me if I wanted to go, and I was trying to be polite by saying yes.
If you wanted to see Treasure Island, we could stop by. It's
There's
beautiful.
nothing on Treasure Island to see. It's a military base. You asked me to go to the wedding reception, and I tried to be polite by agreeing, but then you showed me off like an animal in a zoo, introducing me at each
I didn't
table
show you
as,
off.
"Hi, this is Kurt, my love connection date. Hi, this is Kurt, my love connection date."
I mean that's like a small talk. Oh, hey, right now we're on that show Love Connection. This guy's just a dick. Like, I don't, like, she's also abrasive, but we're on trashy TV show. But he, I think, is actually a dick IRL.
Robin, I mean, you know, it was.
It's true. Part of it's true. I was not showing him off. I was making sure everyone knew that I didn't choose this guy.
You know, I gotta tell you something, Kurt.
Springer was much worse
unsophisticated or
than this.
unintelligent-
Springer is a whole different level. Like, you know, I feel like I actually have a lot to say about Jerry Springer, but that would have to be its own stream, and I'd have to vet a lot of clips for content. But holy shit, I feel like there is a numerically, like, non-negligible amount of damage that the Jerry Springer show did to the American image of trans people, because holy shit, every episode with trans people on the Jerry Springer show is some of the most offensive, transphobic dog shit ever. Painful. Hydrate.
As you think this woman is, she seems to have a razor edge to her mind to me. How did this date end?
She chose not to use it on the date. When we went to a bar, she was wearing a very low-cut dress. She did ask me if
Jerry did damage, but also laid eggs. Unfortunately, that is how a lot of things work. And a lot of early representation during periods where, like, certain groups are very, like, taboo, initial representation is not generally flattering, but later it lays seeds for better representation. I don't think it gets points for that. It's just a natural result of, like, never having positive representation, or even neutral representation, means that all that's left is negative representation that seeks to mock, which at the very least signals to other people out there, hey, you're not alone if you are this, trans or whatever. You certainly see society mocks it and deems it to be bad, but at least you see, oh my god, this thing that I'm feeling isn't just a me thing. That at least leads to maybe people seeking out others similarly and knowing that they're not alone. Although, unfortunately, it's, you know, not in good circumstances.
she should wear a sexy dress, and I said yes, but this was really low cut. I would say inappropriately
It was
so.
not low cut.
All the other people in the bar were very classily dressed. As she says, it was a classy bar, and so all the male eyes, I noticed, were on one place, and it wasn't on, you know, her face.
It was a very classy dress. It was not low cut. It was just
There was a lot hanging out there,
complimenting.
Robin.
Oh, how did this date end?
Well, you know, it was going nowhere, so, you know, the hotel was
no
just...
kidding. I mean...
The hotel was right next to the bar, so, you know, I went to bed, and, you know, she came and picked me up and took me to the airport the next day, and that's really all there was to it.
Well, there was a little bit more.
What's that, Robin?
Okay.
Well, if I have to describe Kurt, the one word I could not use would be gentleman. He was a slob. He threw away a yogurt container in my car. He stuffed it in between the door and the seat, and it got yogurt all over my car. Kurt.
Who eats yogurt on a first date? I don't know. Like, I'm not, like, big on, like, rules. Like, I get it. Like, you know, whatever. Be casual. I just can't ever, like, out of foods that I'm like, first date. What am I doing? What are we eating? What's going on? I'm not gonna eat yogurt in your car. Like, that's not... Why are you eating yogurt in the car on a date? Trying to be tantalizing with the yogurt.
I did not get yogurt all over your car.
It did, and when I
Marvin, I spent more than $200 on that trip. That's a lot more than you spent, so I...
Oh, I'm so hungry. I need to eat a snack on the way to the movie. I have a yogurt and a banana because I have low potassium. It'll be quicker if I dip the banana in the yogurt. Probably.
Wouldn't complain about
I had to
me
get
being
myself down there too.
I got to get out of this. I just got to. Let's take a look and see the audience pick. This was a disaster. Oh. Boy, they thought you made the right choice. They liked Robin.
Well, they were sure wrong, Chuck.
Well, Robin, gee, you know, you've come all the way down here from San Francisco and spent more money. I certainly appreciate you coming on the show. You seem like a nice person to me.
Thank you. I had a great time. I loved it.
Sorry we didn't make a love connection for you.
That's okay.
Sure like to see you under different circumstances,
Well,
though, but
thanks. I'd
thank
like
you.
to be back.
Okay, and Kurt?
At least it wasn't one of the serial killer episodes. That's good. Does this want to play?
Because we as spiritual beings are inhabiting these physical bodies, we are channeling the energy of spirit all the time. But when the dolphins come in, they go through this whole procedure of turning me physically into a dolphin. With the
No, I was just joking. There's like one famous example of a serial killer being on a dating show. And it's not even the same show, I don't think.
muscular movements and the breathing and the sounds and everything, and it's a facsimile of dolphin sounds.
This guy thinks he's channeling dolphin communication.
And whenever I channel the dolphins now, they do that.
Imagine being able to reprogram your mind to defy the laws of nature, to mentally empower your body to walk across thousands of razor-sharp pieces of broken glass.
Why would I need to do that? Also, this is the same trick as a bed of nails. It's weight distribution.
Later in this program, you're going to see just that. You're going to see me hypnotize people just like you to walk across this pit of razor-sharp bottles.
Oh, it's hypnotism for business success. This definitely isn't a scam. Can I send you a link to the Dolphin Man? Yeah, give me a second.
Because we as spiritual beings are inhabiting these physical bodies, we are channeling the energy of spirit all the time. But when the
Don't worry. I'll stop it before he does the thing.
Imagine being able to overcome your limitations, to believe in newfound powers and abilities, and to use those skills to create the life of your dreams. Imagine
This guy's kid is selling crypto stuff now to people on TikTok.
being able to duplicate the mind, body, and emotions of masters, to be able to recreate their excellence in your own life. Imagine being able to face your greatest fears and move through them.
This is such a weird genre of, like, business conference speaker. Like, I don't know how many people are, like, tuned into this kind of thing, but there was a period where, like, legit, there are people who went around and convinced companies that they had worthwhile, like, management training programs and other bullshit, and they'd basically come in and teach a bunch of stupid fucking magic tricks and stuff and use them as metaphors for, like, success in business, and then act like it was, like, a helpful seminar. It's not. You certainly made metaphors and did some tricks, but that's not helpful, practically speaking. So, kind of a funny genre. It's actually how I learned to juggle, because my mom, the bank she worked for, gave all their managers, like, a video of one of these stupid-ass speakers, and their whole gimmick was, like, teaching you how to juggle using metaphors for business management. And I just wanted to learn to juggle, so I watched the video and learned all the juggling stuff and ignored all the business stuff. So I did learn how to juggle, which is good. I think that's the most anyone got out of the video, honestly, was me learning to juggle. So
Imagine controlling your body's physical performance to support the weight of a 190-pound man on your abdomen. Well,
Why would I want or need to do that? Well, no.
you're stretched between two
That doesn't sound comfortable in this specific context.
supports. The things you're about to see and learn will astound you. Don't try any of them at home, because they're
Push
very
the
real
Whopper
and
button.
extremely dangerous.
Push the Whopper
Take it to a
button.
more practical level now. Imagine being able to duplicate the mind and thoughts, the body and physiology, and the emotional intensity of the ultra-wealthy.
Imagine how rich I would be today if you had ignored the juggling and paid attention to the business stuff. Cut to 3 universes over where I'm a regular contributor on the PP show. Doing DD that jacks your tits. Right on.
To produce wealth and financial abundance in your life. When would be a good time to start creating a life of adventure rather than a life of maintenance? How about right now? Welcome to Passion, Profit, and Power. My name is Marshall Silver.
Marshall Silver. I'm gonna be honest, I don't believe that's your real name. I don't believe you. I don't think that's true. I think you're lying to me. And that's a shame. It's a real shame. Oh, I found a blast from the past. Did I already pass it? I did.
I don't know, it might be fun. What do you think, Nick?
All right, but don't expect me to be amused. There's nothing funny about the tools of capitalism.
Is 330.
I wish this would get, like, released from
love it.
someone.
Please, blame.
Because it's a very cool piece of media.
Smart where women
Especially,
keep
like,
up with
retrofuturism stuff.
busy.
Fucking son of yours.
I'll have you know, Tom Middleton, he's just as much your son as mine.
Well,
I know the guy does the what face at some
clumsy
point.
to
Is
express.
it when he gets, like,
You're
told
painting?
he's a communist
Yes,
or a
it's-
socialist or something? It's on the internet. Do you trust other people to keep their servers full of all this shit forever? Because, like, someday they're gonna be like, hey, there's about 10 trillion million videos on YouTube, and half of them haven't been watched since 2007, you know? They'll start deleting them. Like, nothing lasts forever. Even this shit, of course, doesn't. I'm just saying. Just because it's on the internet doesn't mean it's forever. Oh yeah, the socialist is into abstract art, and the dad's like, super like, what the fuck is this? This isn't a naked Roman man. I don't like this at all.
Oh, it's remarkable. Certainly got a lot of color. No doubt about that. What does it represent?
Represent? Why, it doesn't represent anything. Why should it? It's a picture, an independent entity.
What? Fucking non-representational art? Are you a communist?
There's no reason to imitate something else.
No, I suppose not. It's just that I'm sort of used to looking at pictures of people and objects, you know.
Why?
Why? Well, it's,
It's alright. She learns her lesson. Gets with a nice, Republican boy. It's a trailer? Isn't getting mad at abstract art part of OG Nazi propaganda? Yeah.
There's something special in the air. Something magical. Can't you feel it? Magic everywhere.
The Blue Fairy and Papa Geppetto, the toy maker who wished the lovable wooden puppet to life, are planning Pinocchio's 6th birthday party. It'll be held right here in this theater very soon, and all...
The Good Fairy's involved in planning his birthday party? Like she stayed involved? That's interesting. Stone Corbell says, this is really funny because nowadays communists call abstract art bougie, decadence, and the art should edify the common man with depictions of farms and crap like that. H. Baird says, isn't getting mad at abstract... Oh, I read that.
All Pinocchio's friends will be here. But
the
don't
only
tell
real
Pinocchio
art
because
is Soviet Union agitprop.
It's a surprise party.
A party? Fantastic!
Fantastic is the right word, all right, for Pinocchio's birthday party. There'll be the biggest birthday cake you ever did see, and surprises galore. Will Pinocchio get his wish if he blows out all the candles on his huge birthday cake?
Is he gonna get eaten by, like, a whale? Like, how does this work? He just has a birthday party in this version? And it's like, I want to be a boy. Like, that's it? Okay. Oh, there's a wizard. That tracks. 6th birthday.
But the Wicked Wizard isn't the only one who can practice magic. There's a magic story-mobile, too, that will whisk you off...
There's a magic story-mobile? You say that like I should know what a story-mobile, like it's a mobile of stories?
On fantastic Storyland adventures you and your children will never forget.
All you have to do is just spin the Storymobile and say which story you want to hear.
I'd like to hear the story of Puss in Boots.
This would make a fine castle for Prince Jack. A lovely place to live. Oh, wizard, why don't you show yourself? Where are you?
What do you want, fool? What are you doing in my castle? You are going to be sorry you ever came here. Very sorry.
The Magic Storymobile also brings you the story of the little drummer boy and his many adventures. He meets a very large, but gentle, and extremely
I
ticklish
understand what
giant.
version of Mobile, I just didn't understand, like, there were stories in it. I didn't get that it was literally like, you look into it and there's stories.
Oh, please, no more tickling.
The little drummer boy also does battle with the Wicked Witch on the Glass Mountain, and that's not so
I feel
funny.
like a Wicked Witch and Wizard is it's like a hat on a hat.
Into an ugly frog.
Imagination is magic.
Imagine a world with marshmallow mountains, lollipops growing on trees.
I don't think that a planet made with marshmallow as part of its crust could be there.
Soda pops, trees, and lemonade fountains. Imagine along with me.
Yes, imagination is magic, and you're invited to enjoy the motion picture magic of Pinocchio's birthday party.
Like, this is a whole-ass theatrical film?
1974 winner of the Best Children's Film of the Year award.
Oh, 74 was a bleak year for kids.
The prestigious Atlanta International Film Festival. If you remember the thrilling, funny...
Well, that was terrible.
How much did that book cost?
It's none of your business.
America stands on the threshold of its 3rd century, powered by the scientific revolution. Technology has thrust us into a new age of machines, the age of the computer, extending our minds and our ability to communicate the way earlier machines extended our reach and muscles. Machines in the past often threatened our sense of identity and our faith that we, not the machines, are more important. The computer intensifies that basic concern. How do we free our hands and minds without enslaving our spirits? In what ways can science and technology help us? These questions lie at the heart of this program and indeed they are the basis of this series. Our story, On the Side of Man. Not all our dreams about machines have been pleasant. We stand in awe of Yankee ingenuity and ask what will they think of next. But
Yankee ingenuity?
There is also the myth of the mad scientist, turning the powers of the machine toward the creation of a dehumanized world. Half a century
Those
ago,
clips are from Metropolis, if anyone's interested.
the German film Metropolis envisioned a world where men had been enslaved by the machines they created.
Oh god, you really missed the fucking point. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. It's more about class struggle, and certainly there are themes of, like, industrial work being dehumanizing, but a big part of it is humans being treated like machines that are replaceable with machines, treating them like cogs, whatever.
Metropolis was science fiction, but to many surrounded by new machines, it touched a real fear, and the concern seemed confirmed as assembly line technology spread. How do we design machines that work on the side of man, not against him? Machines that extend freedom, not limit it. Not what can the machine do, but what do we want it to do? The more powerful the machine, the more important these questions become. The conquest of the moon would have been impossible without the computer, a powerful new technological tool. It's relatively easy for us to accept the mechanical might of a machine like the Saturn V rocket. But the computer is a different kind of machine. Until its advent, man's ability to conceive and communicate ideas and information was unique. Now we are beginning to share some of that ability with this machine. The men and women who work with computers at institutions like MIT do not regard this new relationship as a matter of competition. They see the computer
When did this come out? This was, let's see, 73. January 1973.
as the basis for a more profound man-machine partnership. But how near is this goal? To make machines...
So interesting that they are very focused on the machine and not the world around it. I feel like in terms of how humans are impacted by the advent of new technologies is less directly about the technologies themselves, but how the regulatory environment either reacts or fails to react to it. Like in the case of like assembly lines and stuff, I understand that it might not feel as fulfilling as like being a craftsman who makes an entire thing, but at the very least, even if their shift is away from, sure, you might not get as much fulfillment from this task, you should at the very least be paid better for its efficiency to make up for that. So in your own free time, which you should ideally have more of, because it's much more efficient to use an assembly line than, you know, one person or a couple people building a whole car. Like, it's like they're looking at the machine and not how people react to it. You need to make sure that even if there are shifts that are inevitable in culture and society from new technology, what you need to do isn't necessarily suppress the technology, although you want to make sure everyone's, like, rights and stuff are protected. We're having that discussion with, like, AI right now and how so much of it has been trained on copyrighted material of other people without their consent. But in terms of, like, this kind of thing, increasing in productivity from any technology, it's going to shift society and how people relate to work, but at the very least, they should be compensated for that and not just be taken advantage of but actually benefit themselves from the increase in productivity, if that's what we're even going for.
More adaptable to humans, we must understand more about how people behave. What happens, for example, when we speak? Can we give the computer this most common means of communication?
Let me say a few words about today's computer. Let me say a few words about today's computer. Let me say a few words about today's computer. I do not understand.
This is a computer talking. Let us now say a few words about today's computers. They are just learning to talk like a child sounding out words.
That's so funny, because again, like, just because they have speakers and the ability to synthesize a voice digitally is so different than the ability for humans to speak. It's a very different process. It's still impressive, of course, that someone had to do this first, but like,
their potential,
the way they're talking about it is a little weird.
Is almost unlimited.
Given is definitely wrong. Wonder if that's a definition problem. It could be. Given. It could be too long.
At Bell Laboratories, Cecil Coca and Noriko Umeda are trying to perfect this talking computer. By using an animated diagram of the human vocal tract and studying how it shapes words, they are learning to understand and correct the machine's pronunciation.
H. Baird with a link says, apropos, the ability to speak does not make one intelligent.
The ability to speak does not make you intelligent.
Wise words from a not good movie. Where did that go?
All of the sounds in this machine are defined.
Oof, that is eye-hurty.
In terms of vocal tract shapes. And we use the picture to define the sounds. And when it misarticulates something,
sorry, that's annoying.
We go back to this picture to see, hopefully, what it did wrong and how it mispronounced it. This is a nose.
Oh my god, change the frame rate on your camera.
Lips and chin. Vocal cords are...
Actually, it's not a digital camera. That's probably a pain to do. I don't know how difficult that is to do on a big, chunky film camera back in the day. Never mind.
Down here. This is the body of the tongue. And at the moment, the tongue tip is touching the roof of the mouth, somewhere behind the teeth.
Slowing down the speech and the vocal tract picture makes the analysis of mistakes easier.
See, is a tongue tip right behind the teeth.
Oh, it sounds like it's in pain.
Groaning through the utterance, I can read stories and speak them aloud, now in real time.
I can read stories and speak them aloud. Let me say a few words about today's computer.
With the ability to speak, we are one step closer to a computer that will talk to us rather than just type. Now, what about sight? What if a computer could see, could look at the world and understand what it sees just as we do? At MIT, a television camera scans a picture of magnified blood cells, feeding the patterns of light and dark it sees to a computer. The computer has been taught to use this visual information to identify and measure cells, a job that now has to be done by a trained laboratory technician. With a sense of vision, a computer becomes a far more flexible partner for man. But all of the attempts we've seen to give a machine human-like abilities are far from complete, and they deepen the respect of computer scientists for the complexity of man. Dr. Ted Young.
The problem with trying to build machines that see things or hear things or respond to human orders is that, first of all, we really don't understand how humans perform these tasks. We perform psychological experiments. We build equipment that we think mimics how humans do it, and then we find out that the equipment is at best idiotic compared to how well humans do it. And we conclude therefore that this is a very, very difficult problem. The advantage is that once you have solved the task and you have taught a machine how to do these things, the machine can proceed to do them faster and with better numerical precision than the human can.
Looking toward the ideal computers of the future, what are the best ways for them to communicate with human partners? Not for the sake of the machine, but rather for man.
He meant in general, humans perform psychological experiments, but we don't know how, like, the brain physically does everything to make us think. We don't know about the consciousness and how it works. I don't think he meant specifically he is doing psychological experiments.
And his students at Johns Hopkins studies the human side of man-computer communication. In this experiment,
This man here is trying to figure out how to make it look like your waifu.
Student plays the part of the ultimate computer of the future. Here it supplies information to build a simple cart. A second student asks for the information he needs to put the cart together. The goal is to discover how different means of man-machine communication help or hinder the exchange of information. As the cart is constructed, starting with an axle, the means of communication can be changed.
Okay, at this point, you'll be able to see him on the monitor, and you'll be able to talk to him. He will write his messages to you.
Today, you must communicate with most computers by typing. But many of us may not want to give up handwriting, a very human kind of communication, just
oh no!
because computers are limited to typing. If we could jot down notes to a computer, would communication be more effective? This experiment also seeks to determine when talking helps the exchange of information.
Put the axle through some 3/8-inch holes in a couple of W-shaped frames. Those are the outer frames.
Although it's not always essential to see to have efficient communication, it can save time. Here the student is confused when he is told to find a W-shaped frame. With the ability to see, the student playing the computer can correct his mistake more easily.
Let me see it on the screen, Jerry.
H-Bird says, oh god. The bourgeoisie own the means of production. Computers own the means of communication, but will always own the means of meanness. I always fuck up that word. I did a joke in a video for AP World History in high school where I said it in a very funny way, and it's been burned in my head forever. So whenever I say it, I want to say it like the wrong way, and it makes me sound like an idiot. So I always have to like, wait, no, this is the correct way to say it.
Can you back off a little bit further? Oh, turn it upside down. There.
This experiment can't help scientists design more intelligent machines, but it can give us a clearer understanding of what people want machines to do as we work toward a truer, more creative man-computer partnership.
Quick, big turtle, hurry! Little turtle. Come on, little hurry! Come on,
What's the wrong way? Bourgeoisie? Like, the point was I was supposed to be saying it like, I don't even remember. I think I was doing like a Texan accent or something, but I basically said like, that damn bourgeoisie.
These youngsters are part of a special MIT project called LOGO. As computer scientists learn to teach machines to behave in more human-like ways, they...
In French, bourgeois, bourgeois.
Bourgeois.
are discovering more about human learning and thinking. This new knowledge from computers can contribute to a new kind of education for children. A computer is a perfect tool for teaching mathematics, for example. As the kids direct a robot turtle to draw geometric shapes, they must have a clear idea of how to use line, distance...
I'm sus at you calling that a turtle.
...and angle to construct what they want. The computer provides them with a new world, Mathland, a place where mathematical concepts can be used to do real things.
Now I'm telling it to do it. Oh, no. Sometimes I get into bugs like this. When it was doing it in his mind, the little turtle, it's the little triangle thing, was on an angle, so it drew the picture on an angle. So now I'll go back and have it draw it in its mind again while it's in the right position. This is like the way I taught myself to get it across the screen. The way I had the little one to go is every time it moves up a little, it subtracts a number, a little bit of a number, and then until it's a small number. And when it's a certain number, I tell it that it should stop.
For the child, this computing machine has, in many, many cases, given a first taste for the beauty and joy of mathematical thinking.
Conspiracy theorists have ruined my brain. I just want to point that out, because anytime I see shit like this, my brain immediately goes, like, satanic Illuminati! Like, not like that I think that, but just like, I know a conspiracy theorist would see that and think that. It's like I have a little, like, tulpa of a conspiracy theorist in my brain. Yells things at me.
Thinking, a first taste of math power.
This is a creative partnership between man and machine. Making the machine perform better helps man learn more about himself and his world. But a truly rewarding man-computer partnership will take time and experience. Terry Winograd.
Certainly, computers are one area where there's been a tremendous amount of what you might call mystification. People tend to project an image. This is true of people who work in the field as well as others who take advantage of it. An image of the thinking machine or the infallible computer or all sorts of images which are wrong, which which have very little to do with reality. But of course, the reality grows out of the fact that people tend to believe that. And I think it's important to be aware that people have those kinds of feelings, but also to be aware that there isn't this necessary element of sort of competition as who thinks better or something. There was, to make an analogy, there was a feeling among some people that when the camera was invented that it would be the end of art, that the camera could reproduce more faithfully, this machine could reproduce more faithfully on its paper than an artist could, a particular scene, and that it would sort of remove the human from that. And of course, that's very silly. I mean, not only did it not end art, but the camera itself became a tool which enabled people to be more creative. Using the technology, using the camera, gave them new ways of expressing themselves.
Will the computer, like the camera, enable man to reach new creative heights and new freedom, with technology working on the side of man? The computer symbolizes both the promise and problems we face in our complex man-machine world. Its misuse by large institutions irritates us. Its misuse by government could threaten us. But its potential for extending our ability to communicate and our knowledge of ourselves is enormous. If it is made relatively easy for anyone to use, the chances are far greater that it will be used on the side of man. No longer can we ask, what can we do? But rather, how can what we do give us a better world?
The future is a weird place. The future these people feared. Oh god. Number 5 is alive.
Enter and hold. Elevation 16 obstacles. Visibility 5 feet, 2 feet, no feet.
Hey, laser lips! Your mama was a snowblower!
I am going to use the bathroom real quick. I think we'll watch another retro futurism thing and probably then call it a night. Be right back. interesting how in the 20th century, a bulk of our ideas about what the future would be, the whole concept of, like, futurism as a school of thought was often dictated by, like, in the popular consciousness, people trying to sell you dishwashers and washing machines and kitchen gadgets. Like, when you think retrofuturism, you're probably thinking about something that stemmed from an ad department trying to sell people in the 50s and 60s something. It's interesting.
Welcome to the RCA Whirlpool Miracle Kitchen. In this kitchen, you can bake a cake in 3 minutes. And in this kitchen, the dishes are scraped, washed, and dried electronically. They even put themselves away. Even the floor is cleaned electronically. So welcome to this wonderful new world of push-button cooking, cleaning, and homemaking. Now this is what we call our planning center. And this is the push-button control panel. In other words, this is the heart and the brain of the RCA Whirlpool Miracle Kitchen. On the control panel, we have a series of buttons that operates various parts of the kitchen by a process even more simple than dialing your old-fashioned telephone. For example,
wow, it's like I'm making breakfast on the Starship Enterprise.
There's a button that turns on a built-in color television set that brings entertainment into your miracle kitchen of the future. Other buttons select recipes, request an inventory of food stocks, select food from storage, or complete the automatic meal from the Magic Meal Maker.
I love that they don't even have any, like, idea of how any of this would work, even in theory. They're just like, here are all the switches that do magic. See, we have buttons for everything.
The built-in color television set, you'll also see a small TV monitor. And by pressing another button on the panel, you will be able to see what's going on in the nursery or who's at the door.
Yeah, these things exist.
In other words, you can sit in your RCA Whirlpool Miracle Kitchen.
Usually access them, like, from your phone, though.
Keep tabs on the whole house. This same TV...
But of course they couldn't have predicted mobile phones, or at least didn't, so...
TV set, incidentally, receives regular television programs. Or, if you wanted to remind yourself of something to do later in the day, such as call the butcher at 2 o'clock, you merely speak your message into this transmitter, set the clock for the appointed time, and then at 2 o'clock, the loudspeakers will remind you of it. And this, of course, serves as your own private telephone. Now here we have an inventory panel of beverages,
bougie,
fruits, vegetables, meat, fish, and so forth. And instead of searching around on your pantry shelves for food, now you merely make your selection with a touch of the finger. For example, right now,
I've seen this shit in every kitchen of the future from, like, the 50s to the early 2000s. They're always like, there'll be a list of all the things in your kitchen. Do you not remember the shit you have? God damn it. It's never happened.
I'd like a can of frozen orange juice. Now you will notice that a wave of the hand lowers a special bottle cooling refrigerator. This chills the bottle.
Wow, how efficient. It can hold 3 bottles of drinks.
Bottles and then maintains them
at
the desired temperature.
It can hold at least 6. My bad. I'm sure all those moving parts aren't going to be really frustrating when something in it breaks 5 years in, by the way. I'm sure they'll have the same replacement parts for that. It won't be a pain.
You will also notice that the entire unit can be raised or lowered by merely waving your hand.
Ooh, wobbly.
Now, if you prefer ice in your beverages, the RCA Whirlpool Miracle Kitchen has an inexhaustible supply of crystal clear ice. And you can regulate the size you want, from powder fine to the size of a regular ice cube. Now, popular beverages such as iced tea in the summertime can be stored in bulk. Or you could store ice-cold milk, piping hot coffee, and get just as much as you want by pressing the dispenser and...
How many times a year am I going to have to clean my milk dispenser? I'm not going to put milk in a dispenser in my ceiling. I don't want to milk my house.
Just as hot or as cold as you want it. Now, all of the foods in your RCA Whirlpool Miracle Kitchen are stored at just the right degree of temperature and humidity. For example,
The worst part is if this took off, it would be like the printer ink industry. Like you want to get a coffee, but it's like, you're out of grape juice. I don't want grape juice. I want my coffee. Why does it matter? I don't need to print something in cyan. I need it in black and white. What's the point? Ripping me off on grape juice cartridges?
This is what we call our special dry food storage drawer. And again, you will notice that a mere wave of the hand elevates this drawer, thus eliminating any backbreaking efforts on the part of the housewife. See, it's no longer necessary to stoop way over and dig down into the bottom of the bin for such things as potatoes or onions. In fact, all of the foods in the RCA Whirlpool Miracle Kitchen are stored within easy reach.
It's a drawer, but it does this.
Because all of the storage compartments can be raised or lowered to just the right level. Now, have you noticed that there seems to be...
I can see hypothetical, like if you had mobility issues or something, like if you couldn't easily bend down and get stuff or whatever, there's a variety of reasons that something like this could make sense for specific people, but why in the world would you ever want this as a general product? Most people do not need drawers to come up to their arm level.
Be no sink in our RCA Whirlpool Miracle Kitchen? Now, as a matter of fact, there certainly is, and it's a very unusual sink, concealed right underneath our movable countertop. Now, we all know the discomforts that can be had from working at a sink that's too low for us. But now, thanks to the custom adjustment of the RCA Whirlpool Miracle Kitchen, it's possible for you to have a sink adjusted to you individually, whether you're tiny, typical, or tall. And here's a marvel every woman will
That's
really
honestly
appreciate.
a pretty good touch. Again, it's not practical, but like I do see, like if you were shorter or taller, like I see how that would be a pain, either hunching over or having to get something to stand on if you're like doing dishes.
The unit to help in the preparation of meats, fruits, and vegetables. You merely put the fruit or the vegetable in here, and then by pressing the proper selector, it will peel, slice, dice, core, and so forth. And the wastes are disposed of automatically.
Again, it's a magic
now let's
box.
see.
They're just like, we'll have a box that it's like Theranos, except instead of like blood, it's just like food shit. Like, we have a magic box that will do something incredible. We have no idea how we're gonna do it, but we'll sell it to you.
How we would go about preparing an item in the RCA Whirlpool Miracle Kitchen. First, we would select a recipe by pressing a button on the control panel of the planning center. Then the recipe would appear on a special screen above the countertop. Let's suppose we're going to bake a cake. Just a wave of the hand lowers a completely integrated mixing unit. On the mixing unit is a control panel where you can select the instrument you'll need for mixing, blending, whipping, churning, kneading, and so forth. Now, of course, in the case of the mixer, you will notice that the mixing blades are lowered into just the right position. Then when you have finished your job, the entire unit goes back into the wall where it will be automatically cleaned.
Very
And by the
obsessed
way-
with built-ins as opposed to standalone appliances seems to be the theme here. Not like a stand mixer, but it needs to be like a whole thing that comes out of your, like, ceiling. Ugh.
One section of the unit can be removed so that it can be used as a portable, self-powered mixer. And here's truly one of the most outstanding features of the RCA Whirlpool Miracle Kitchen. By merely pressing a button, a self-propelled serving cart appears. Now this cart takes right to the table your dishes, silverware, and everything necessary for the setting of your table.
That's not practical even a little bit. Even Roomba hasn't tried this.
You see, it operates on electrical tracks which are laid under the floor. And then it follows a preset pattern to go wherever you want it to go. Of course, the dishes in the cart are absolutely clean because when the cart is in its
This is gonna drip all over my house.
place in the wall, it is also an automatic dishwasher and a food waste disposer. And then, of course, after your meal is over, the dirty dishes and silverware can be loaded right at the table. And then the cart will take them back to its place in the wall where the waste will be disposed of, and they will be automatically rinsed, washed, and dried. And another thing to remember...
Like, I'm gonna be honest, the entire idea isn't absurd if you had a big family. The absurd thing is that it's, like, automated. If you had a special dishwasher that, like, had a cart that actually came out, like, the thing actually somehow did separate from the mechanism, and you could kind of load it up and actually cart it all the way back to the kitchen, that's kind of interesting. I'm not saying it would have, like, won out, but at least I kind of get the idea. That way you can kind of take it from place to place. But the idea of it being some kind of robot is, like, bizarre. Like, why even make that part up?
Remember is that if you should decide...
Make sure your pets don't go investigate the mobile dishwasher. Oh yeah, that's a disaster waiting to happen.
You prefer to use your very best china for dinner that evening. You merely push a button on the control panel. The cart will then return to its place in the wall and exchange your everyday dishes for a rack containing your very best ones.
I don't trust this robot with my best dishes.
Now here's a special
as if I have best dishes, like I'm 87 years old.
Salad freshener drawer with its own degree of temperature and humidity for the storage of fruits and vegetables. Then right underneath the salad freshener drawer, we have a special freezing compartment which is excellent for the quick freezing of leftovers as well as for the storage of frozen foods.
A freezer?
Now, are you wondering where the refrigerators are? Well, here they are, 1, 2, 3, concealed in the cabinet. And just a wave of the hand lowers the refrigerator. Each section has its
This is terrible. What? No.
own special
This is
degree
so
of
not
temperature
practical.
and humidity. And special insulation eliminates the need for
This is like the
bulky doors
stupidest
and walls.
concept car.
Because of a new cooling process,
Except
there's
kitchen.
no frost at all. And out here is our mobile cooking unit, which is controlled from the planning center. Now it operates in the same way as does the self-propelled serving cart, so it will travel any place you desire in your backyard. Well, next we have some of the most amazing features of the RCA Whirlpool Miracle Kitchen. Now, in those days when time is too short or...
One second.
Coffee black.
Make it yourself.
When your bridge game has been a little bit too long, you still can prepare a well-balanced meal in just a matter of seconds with the least amount of attention. And there's a wide variety from which to choose. Tonight, for example, you might want some chicken a la king, carrots and peas, a few French fries, and maybe a cupcake for dessert. Well, after the selection has been made, it will be dropped from a refrigerated area and will have been moved into the cooking or cooling compartment of the Magic Meal Maker.
They literally call it magic!
Then in just a matter of minutes, your meal is...
I feel like I'm being gaslighted by advertising people who are dead.
ready to be served at the table in a very easy process. Now, next to the meal maker, we have the electronic oven. Now, of course, the electronic oven cooks electronically. So the food is hot, but your kitchen isn't. And it cooks...
Like a microwave. It's a microwave.
...very fast. Why, a cake can be baked in a matter of 3 minutes. And...
I mean, yeah, you can make cakes in the microwave.
A leg of lamb can be roasted in about 7 minutes.
I wouldn't recommend that.
And a bacon and egg breakfast takes just about 90 seconds.
Please don't put bacon in the microwave. Unless it's already pre-cooked.
Cooking?
Even then, just for... Like, I care enough about you to not want you to eat microwave bacon. You can do better. You deserve better.
Timing, temperatures are all automatically controlled to assure perfect results every time. But best of all, the electronic oven is self-cleaning.
Klingon food is scary, so probably not. I'd be afraid it has, like, worms or blood in it.
So, of course, that eliminates one of the messiest oven chores that women have. Next to the oven, we have an electronic grill. And in this, it's possible to broil a 3-pound steak in just a matter of 2 minutes. Now, getting back to the planning center, notice this semicircular surface which surrounds it. It's accessible from any part of the kitchen, and it's actually a cooking surface, as well as an area for informal dining. Now, when you place this special cooking utensil over one of the cooking areas, the food inside quickly heats to the right temperature. However, the cooking area itself and the outside of the cooking utensil remain cool, so this doubles nicely as a serving dish. And to eliminate the last of the household drudgeries, we have a storage drawer for pots and pans. This serves not only as a storage drawer, but also as an automatic washer and food waste disposer.
What?
It's
Again,
used
that
for
your cabinet, all of your cabinets are dishwashers?
Scraping, washing, and drying. Now notice the
Is there like
laundry
a tiny robot civilization in there? How is it doing all that?
area on the other side of the dividing counter. In the laundry area, you see the new RCA Whirlpool washer dryer that you can actually buy today.
There it is, the reason we're all here, to sell this actual dryer washer combo and make it seem like it's futuristic, like all this made up stuff.
It washes, rinses, and dries in one continuous
Just a crummy
operation.
commercial.
And it uses so little soap and water that you can wash your clothes as they become soiled rather than waiting for a large load to accumulate. Now here's something for you homemakers who grow tired of seeing the same kitchen day after day. From a button on the planning center, you can change the entire lighting. For hot days, a cool blue to match the air-conditioned comfort of your miracle kitchen. For cold, dark, drab days, a warmer tone. Or perhaps you'd like a combination of colors to give it the mood you want. Also built into the planning center is an electronic air purifying system. Now this electronic unit, with no moving parts, draws vapors and grease from cooking into the chamber where the
How? With no moving parts? Like there's no fan? Like how? What?
impurities are removed and
Oh
destroyed.
my god, hydrate.
And now, believe it or not,
It just
the floor
sucks things in somehow. We don't know.
is automatically cleaned too, just by pressing a button. What you see coming out of the wall
Roomba.
is a self-propelled floor cleaner. It's completely self-contained, and it can be directed to any part of the kitchen. This floor cleaner is operated by a self-charging battery. It controls itself by sensing an electrical path in the floor. As it passes over the floor, it vacuums up loose particles. And if the floor needs washing, the floor cleaner will wash it with a rotary brush scrubbing action. It will follow up washing with a thorough rinsing. And when the entire job is done, the floor cleaner returns to its location beneath the cabinet where it empties the waste and is automatically recharged to be ready for the next operation. Yes, in the RCA Whirlpool Miracle Kitchen, the things women don't like to do are done automatically. Of course, you can't buy this kitchen for your home right now, because this is a laboratory of kitchen ideas for the future. But all of the RCA Whirlpool appliances of today give you the advanced styling and engineering of tomorrow. Now, we hope you've enjoyed our little show, and we hope you'll tell all of your friends about it. And tell them, too, about this wonderful new world of push-button cooking, cleaning, and homemaking.
I have also seen the Jetsons. Alright, so that's another VHS Vault stream. Thanks everyone for hanging out. Let's see who we're gonna rate on Twitch. Oops, that's not what I wanted. Love you too, Mr. Blast. Anyone have any preferences on a raid? Anyone they like or friends or anything that, you know, is appropriate? So the dinosaur costume apparently did get here, so tomorrow will be the dinosaur costume stream, which is cool. Let's see. First suggestion is this. Let's take a look. AO Life B. Let's take a look. I don't see anyone live. Oh wait, is that not spelled correctly? Why am I not seeing? Hold on. A-O-I-F-E. There. There we go. Okie dokie. Have a cool night, everyone. See you tomorrow. And, have a great night. Having everything concealed on motors is a terrible idea. What if now power? Oh yeah. It's ridiculous. It's an ad, though. They're not supposed to be practical. They're supposed to make you feel good about the brand. It's gross. Anyway, night everyone. Bye-bye.